Good evening, everyone, and welcome to week number 7 here for NECC Valorant. My name is Sam Talks. Joining me, the phenomenal Zobi. Zobi, we got an interesting matchup tonight. We're in Division 1. We're enjoying the fruit of the best that we can get out of collegiate Valorant. And who better to give us a week 7 showing than OC Esports versus TAMU Maroon?
For sure, playoffs qualification hanging in the balance here for Group B, and these are two teams that are in the hot seat contending for right 4-2 TAMU Maroon. Some iffy history, against the previous Collegiate Kings Northwood. Some substitute players, maybe having them drop series they historically wouldn't have, versus OC Esports Eagles 3-3 right now, and they've kind of been going through some evolution throughout the season. We'll see if it finally culminates in a strong, tough squad against the previous CVAL champs. But let's take a look at those squads that I just mentioned, Sam, with the rosters.
Absolutely. And starting us off is going to be none other than TAMU Maroon over on the one side, Joba, Aussie, Frosty, Being Chillin', KHS, and Carrot. Something important to note there, Zoe, we'll get back to that in a second, versus the, of course, OC Esports Eagles. And, we have an amazing roster. We have an amazing list of talent out here. But I do want to touch on the TAMU Maroon just a little bit, right? Because they're missing their IGL, their primary IGL at the very least.
Yeah, Naber, not feeling the greatest right now, a little under the weather, so we wish them a speedy recovery. So Carrot is coming in. They have subbed a few times beforehand, usually on that Sentinel role. Like they played in that very close game against Fisher and Navy back in week number 2, where they lost, 0-2, but they had a 13-15 overtime. So I'm hoping maybe they'll be a little bit more gelled in the squad, but that does mean Joba has to step up a little bit on that IGL role, more than the co-IGL or secondary caller. But what I'm more concerned about is not only did they lose their IGL, but they lost their deadlock, which is such a fundamental part of their composition on a multitude of maps here, and it's insane, right? I'm wondering if they're going to make a complete 180 back to stock standard, or who is going to fill the shoes of a Naber deadlock. Am I right, Sam?
Oh my god. I mean, right, we think all the way back to the first week when we saw TAMU, right, Zobi? And the impact that deadlock had time and time again. And this is a very important thing to talk about too when we look at the maps that we're going to be playing on. This is starting off our first map, Sunset, into Ascent, and if we need to go into it, Bind. But the real nugget, right, in the golden nugget in all of these maps is that second one of Ascent. And Toby, I'm gonna let you take this because I think you got a lot to tell for us on Ascent.
And you had a great transition. I want to point out first as well is that 2 out of 3 of these maps are heavy deadlock maps for TAMU. So that's what's working against them if they decide to pivot away from that. But Ascent here was the map I wanted to see, and TAMU boldly picking into it here is astounding because, the OC Esports Eagles may just be playing with my heartstrings a little bit on a map that I mostly dislike of Ascent. But last week against Cumberland Phoenix, they played a triple Sentinel, Killjoy, Deadlock, and then a Sova Clove, which is just insane, so far off the left field that you think it wouldn't work, but they 13-3'd their opponent. So when you have an untraditional composition like that, you're starting on the defense and you're up against a TAMU that's without Naber, without their primary deadlock player, there is a world where this could be a 2-0 favoring the Eagles.
It's a crazy world that we're living in right now, right? And then we take a look at Sunset, right? Brand new Sunset, B-side completely changed up, really shaking the way that we engage on this map, right? Because you no longer have those Cypher unbreakable trips. And again, right? A map where Deadlock could really shine for TAMU Maroon. They don't have that radiant light to be able to guide them through that way. And so this is another opportunity here for OC Esports to potentially shake things up tonight, really shake things up, especially in this Group B in Division 1. And there's a lot of question marks that we have above our head, and I'm really eager, Zobi, to be able to get into week 7 tonight and figure out how things are going to turn up at the other end of this matchup.
No, for sure. And we didn't really get to touch on the OC Eagles roster as much, but I think Sunset's a great map for them because they kind of shifted from this yeah, we're gonna look at the rosters again so I can point out some of these amazing players from OC Eagles, which is Germsy, Zen, Vader, Mini, Wide, and Pablo. And it's interesting because Pablo started the season as kind of this just major, you know, initiator player, Breach and KO. But they have since kind of flexed into this flex player, ironically, right? Where they're sometimes on controller, sometimes they're on deadlock, and then more recently on maps like Lotus, which is unfortunately left the pool, and Sunset, they sometimes run a double duelist alongside Germsy, where we might see a Raze and a Neon, which I think is the best of both worlds, especially if you aren't running a Sova, because then you still have a way to break those cypher trips, even if they're unbreakable. It's nice, you know, technicality you don't have to worry about necessarily on some B-side execs. So I'm curious if they're going to keep that composition, and I'm curious also to see how I think it was Zen is going to do, because they are also another player that went through a major role swap away from that controller and more into that stock standard initiator, which we know is really important for setting up these sort of duelist plays.
Yeah, it is being able to push yourself onto Sunset, right? Even with some of the changes, and touching on what you said, not having to worry so much about those cypher trips, giving yourself just that little bit extra maneuverability for your Neon to be able to break out onto the site, even though you have that race, you know, you have that extra overwhelming firepower. And maybe in the weakened TAMU Maroon state that they're currently in, with the substitution that they have to deal with, again, there's a lot of things that are currently favoring OC esports, right? The cogs are starting to turn, the wheels are starting to maybe start, the winds are starting to shift in their favor, more so to speak, along those lines. And it really just comes down to, you know, is TAMU Maroon feeling confident enough in themselves? The reason why they want to choose going into Ascent. They feel confident in themselves. They feel like they don't need to play around the deadlock, or they've seen what OC esports, and they're not really worried about the triple Sentinel composition, which, you know, talking about sides as well, Sunset and Ascent for both of these maps, OC esports is going to be starting off on the defense. And, you know, if they're able to get that early half lead and transition that into the second half well enough, TAMU Maroon, it could be like, I don't know, banging their head against the wall. But Agent Select is coming up for our first map of Sunset. And yeah, things are looking pretty stock standard for the moment.
Ooh. Yeah. It's kind of the prediction that I said, that double duelist here, and Sam, I'm so sorry, but I gotta fact check you. They're actually starting out on the attack here for OC Eagles. It's defense for the last two maps, but I think this favors this composition really, really well, right? Because you are starting out, I don't want to necessarily call it a crutch, but with this very aggressive front versus the side for TAMU. I was curious to see, you know, Joba is going to flex over to that initiator to let Carrot be in their most confident role on that Cypher. And the only change here, again, is that we're seeing, you know, maybe some changes away from what normally is a Gecko, I think, for KHS, maybe because of these new changes that are coming in. Maybe it's just a little bit more stock standard than a Gecko pick. And it's interesting to see that that's what's going to happen when you don't have Nabber in the cards.
Well, regardless, like you said, OC Esports is going to be on the attack. But Aussie Frosty on that Neon wants to try and gain as much space on A main as they can. Maybe work their way towards grabbing that ultimate orb. But it's all of the OC Esports squad inside of mid, pushing through on the backside. Flashbang with the paranoia. But the relay bolt slowed things down enough, and they're managing to get out of there. So no sides have really exchanged too much bullets, but a lot of utility dumped in mid to accomplish almost nothing.
Oh, and look at this. KHS realizes the front of players. They take off the isolated Vader, or they're trying to here in tiles. A little bit late to the party. We're not going to be able to get that pinch play off of Aussie Frosty main, but Vader may be walking back into the trap here. They check their trap wire, but there are players behind it ready and raring to go. And while the mid shenanigans eventually converts into a B-side plant, Texas Maroon currently has a player advantage by 1.
How tenuous that grasp is, right? KHS is at 19 HP. Mini and Wide waiting for someone. Those are beautiful shock darts in the relay bolt. Mini and Wide felt like they had no opportunity to survive. And Texas A&M Germsy, they're blowing them all away. They're blowing them all down. But again, both players, two on each side. Burton being chillin', giving us a masterclass showing so far. For Zin, well, it doesn't matter. KHS if they have no HP, as long as you can land those shots. Texas A&M Maroon gonna take pistol round number 1.
Oh. And you mentioned, yeah, there were some really low HP players, but they're fully stunned, they're fully evading utility, then you're going to get really nice streamlined kills out of Texas A&M Maroon. And OC Esports Eagles, I know it said your composition was aggressive, but a top mid play on the pistol. And look at this now, the adjustment coming out from TAMU saying, all right, 3 players top mid. It's an eco round. They're probably going to do something just as crazy. And unfortunately, it just seems like an all-in B assault here. And I'm curious to see what Aussie Frosty has in hand. Is it a sniper rifle? Are they going to get overwhelmed? And it seems like it's just a good old Spectre here to receive. And a beautiful fault line perhaps to set them up.
Okay, Pablo here's the drawing of the ultimate orb, but Austin Frosty even stuck inside of all of the different concussions, still managing to land a kill, but in a disastrous moment for TAMU, losing 2 players on the attack from OC. Thankfully, KHS is going to even out the numbers, but they got to make sure to, at the very least, get rid of some of that firepower coming in their direction. That was a little messy, a little sloppy. TAMU Maroon does manage to win out in the second round.
Very, very nicely done. They keep a few of those heavier weapons, like you mentioned, though. OC Eagles able to put a dent. Now they get rifles online. I want to see, like I said, OC Esports Eagles. Yes, you have an aggressive composition. We've seen 2 very, very direct pressure points now so far in the first and second round. My question will be now, once they have weapons in hand, once they don't want to give these away easily to TAMU Maroon and disadvantage fights, are they going to be able to slow down the pace a little bit, control the momentum with this double duelist? Because what I'm seeing again is going to be a really heavy out off the gate, right off the rib mid fight, and I'm curious to see if TAMU is going to be able to just handle that pressure.
Well, very least for right now, they drop the door, only to hear it break around them. OC Esports is playing with the hearts and minds of TAMU Maroon, being chillin' over on the other side, caught inside of the fault line. Not choosing to TP out just yet, instead holding on that corner for the inevitable reinforcements that come in their direction! The pistol! Flying all over the place, and Aussie Frosty's double kill has cracked the door wide open. Rather, maybe shutting the door in the face of OC Esports.
All right. 4v3. Dust is settled. Vader's been on this consistent lurk. Right, for whether it was over towards the A site and tiles, whether now it's B and taking a fight on the carrot. And this is why you have that lurk cipher, because they can open up the map and a site for your team. The question is, now that you've opened it, how long can you keep the store open? And the answer is not that long when KHS is going to drop you. So now that plan's out the window. That ground lost, and you have 30 seconds. Where OC Eagles, yes, you get the regeneration of Zen and this breach utility, but can you fight in now that the rotation has been met by TAMU?
Yeah, that's the problem, right? You do flush KHS out from this corner, but now OC Esports, they had to be worried. And let's not forget, Zobi, new plant lines on this map of Sunset. So you put that smoke there on stairs, but you have to go more onto it towards where Aussie Frosty is, or at the elevator in Market, where, guess what's happening? You're just gonna pummel them into the ground. You do get the spike planted at the very last second, but guess what? Not winning this one. Texas A&M accomplishing the bonus and setting themselves up for massive success going into the rest of Sunset.
All right. Rio, the bonus one again off of, I think, just Vader seeking out that fight back site onto KHS afterwards. That's what kind of flipped the script versus they stayed in a corner, robbed TAMU of information. They could have bought more time for their team instead of losing the control of the site the Lurk fought so hard for. So a great adjustment there again. TAMU recognizing the Lurk player for Vader, dealing with them. And now economy shattered, like you mentioned, lead firmly in TAMU's favor as they take those weapons as bonuses, as trophies away from the Eagles. And it looks like Aussie Frosty, right? This has been a consistent play over towards A main, and they've yet to fight into it, which is this breach setup combo. As soon as Aussie Frosty makes contact, Joba's ready to support them, which shows Joba great flexibility here, right? This is not their normal role, but they're still doing all they can to help out their Neon.
So far, though, I haven't met any targets, any resistance on A main just yet. And that Aldron sees everything. Oh, and then you pop off with the Hunter's Fury. Even though you may not have gotten anyone inside of it, right? You managed to cause some disruption for OC Esports. The real big question at the forefront of their mind, how they want to crack down this round piece by piece. They're struggling to get that answer, Zobi.
And when all this fails, what do? You fight top mid, you see what happens. Because if you can find a frag that opens up either the A or the B site, right, it becomes a dealer's choice here. But you gotta open it up, and now they have a little crossfire going. Now your A main control has been shut off. And it just feels like all the timing hasn't been facilitated by utility, so it's just one player after another falling from the nest for the Eagles.
And meanwhile, right, you have Pablo all the way on B side, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, right? Zin needs to work in through market. They've been spotted, and they're the ones in control of that spike. And so even though Pablo gets rid of the tripwire there, being chilling, just minor readjustments here. Look over towards Boba, and basically no HP for Carrot, but the entirety of Texas A&M Maroon are flooding back in onto the site. And a flawless round sees them to a 4th round 1.
And then Sam, going into this best of 3, we're like, we have no clue what version of TAMU we're going to see showing up today, right? Because we've seen what happens when they play with the sub, you know, the loss, the 0-2 against, you know, Fisher Navy. But then they are still that, like, hardened, you know, CVAL squad as well from last year. And so it looks like the true champs are showing up today so far. 4-0 on OC Esports Eagles map pick as well. Ooh. And it doesn't seem like it's going to slow down. Yeah, the one-way, I've also learned the one-way lineups are a little wonky now, Carrot, with the new map without your box lineups. But we'll see if it works out for them. The entirety of OC Esports Eagle Vader abandoning their lurking ways is headed towards this B site. And that's the silver lining you get with a double duelist, is your race can try and sell a fake over towards A main while the entire team heads B. But unfortunately, nice spy cam placement lets you know there might be more than meets the eye here to this B site.
I think they may have just thought it was Vader, right? The only one seen inside of that cam, so a possibility of a lurk. But that's not really going to deter TAMU from too much here. Pablo, that flashbang couldn't have been done any better. Comes in at just the right time. Flashed by their own teammate, though, right? Hurts a little bit on the inside. Spike is still going to be planted, but off your feet. As again, right, you're getting caught inside of your own Breach's ultimate.
Not part of the plan, though. It's a bait here, because now they're not going to clear out this corner, hopefully with the overdrive. But a beautiful paranoia makes me eat my words, because they are thorough. This is TAMU, and they have dominated here again on the retake off of Asti Frosty and the Blazin' Neon here to get their 5th round on the board. Going to hand Joba the defuse, try and farm up their own Rolling Thunder here. And for me, yes, the Rolling Thunder was really clean, but it's more that KHS made it seem like there was more in Boba than there actually were, right? Like the recon there to deny that space from Pablo, all of that was beautiful, so it felt that OC was pressured when there really wasn't a threat yet.
Well, at the very least for TAMU, Zobi, they are threatening enough to call a timeout from the OC Esports. At 5 rounds down the drain, right? It's really time to get your head back on straight. Figure out how to crack this Texas A&M Maroon defense that has so far been a walloping of a time against you. And I think a lot of different scenarios that could be running around in their head, right? But it feels like at this stage, like to echo what you mentioned earlier, is that we're getting the champions in prime fighting form, even without Nabber here, the prime IGL. Joba's been able to step into that, into that in their own right. And the shot calling that's been made by this team, they have a firm presence, it feels like, everywhere on this map for Sunset. And OC Esports just can't quite maneuver their way through the different looks that Texas A&M has been giving us. Mm-hmm. Even when it comes to utility, I mean, like, right, looking at this, what are we seeing from setup-wise from the Cypher, right? It's all on A.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's been a big change with the B. It just feels impossible to hold as a Cypher, so you just dip and have them play B, play numbers over towards the A site. But I agree with you. TAMU keeps changing things as OC tries to adjust out of their timeout here. OC as well, like I said, this very attack-sided comp. I'm worried that they are trailing 5-0 here. And Asti Frosty is taking this as an opportunity, right? They are so confident in themselves here. Now they know there's not going to be any rotations, even if they don't push past this trap wire. They know that they're execing out of your elbow, and they're going to hope that that's enough of a distraction, and it basically is!
Unbelievable work from Carrot. The Cypher extraordinaire taking no damage and still getting a 3K and giving TAMU another flawless round. They are chewing through this attack against OC, and there is it feels like there's really nothing that they can do. But coming off that timeout, right, they get the weapons back in hand. The silver lining here, though, they did manage to draw out the showstopper on top of that flawless. So I guess it's like a silver lining to a gold-plated round for Texas A&M.
Yeah, everybody definitely getting their frag montages loaded up and ready to go from this game alone. And hats off to OC Esports Eagle because they really haven't let it show in their playstyle that they are down 6-0. They're still aggressive. They're still confident. Like when you're sliding into a play against Aussie Frosty, this time you find the first blood. I think I might have heard, yep, the neural theft as well come online. So you might know where solo players are as well to try and fight your way towards the site, towards that objective now. When you know where the Cypher is, you know there's a solo breach in market. My concern now is that they have waited so long. They've given up that information advantage that they had off of Vader.
Yeah, it's taking them so long to get to doing anything. That's also a big issue that we're seeing from OC, is that even when they gain the advantage, they're still so very slow. They're so methodical. They don't take advantage of momentous occasions when they could be happening here, right? And already smokes are going to come back up. They still have to go through the Cypher utility. They still need to get rid of the Cypher trips for an agent like the Neon that's going to slow things down massively, especially when you have KHS on the other side. The good news here, though, that Vader is still able to take off names. Downside, KHS is alive, well, firing off on all cylinders, and almost got really close from the back of that neural theft. It is now the 2v3 spike retake.
Yeah, many having to push forward because they were not dead yet here. First disadvantage retake actually for TAMU Maroon, a 2v3 here. Notes for either sides, simplifying the equation just a little bit, and they decide to play divided here. This could give an opportunity to swing double elbow, but it just seems like solo players holding each entry point to this site at the moment. Not much utility to function off of here either. Maybe KHS waiting for the recon bolt. With them falling though to Vader, it's going to be more difficult. The group up from Big Chilling is not going to rob them out. So OC Esports Eagles on the board for the first time of Sunset.
Yeah, it was going to be difficult, right, to get rid of the 3 remaining players, especially when you're going in one after another. And it's a Sova with an Omen, so not a lot of entry potential outside of the recon bolts from KHS. But at the end of the day, that is OC Esports' first round 1.
Yep.
And TAMU is still, by far and away, Zobi, perfectly fine to continue their role. And even Aussie Frosty bringing the operator online.
Yeah, again, this is kind of similar to the changes they made out of the timeout for OC Sports Eagles. They think they finally have something against TAMU, you know, and they're going to change things up, you know, change the material on the test after you studied the entire textbook. And I'm curious to see if that's going to make them fail this exam, especially because look at where the operator is. I feel like a very interesting opportunity here, especially because they know the mid fixation, that if Pablo swings market here, it's holding down that sight line, and they have Joba for support.
Oh my gosh, they
they
saw
see it.
Yeah, they saw Aussie Frosty with the operator, and so look at that. Look what happens, right? They completely avoid mid, take away any signs of life from there, and try to go for this A push, or let your Cypher do what they do best and give Vader that opportunity to accomplish their lurk, which so far has actually been relatively successful for them. Smoke's gonna go down there, and Texas A&M Maroon, they're shifting all over the map, but still, OC Esports is clumped together and pretty much hasn't done anything since the beginning of this round.
I mean, it's difficult when you don't have weapons, you don't have information, especially the reposition of the operator for Frosty top mid. But now they've seen the Clove, now they've sine the Rays, both headed towards the B site, and the Ripcord pulled on the overdrive, and it's enough for the entry here. Might solidify the plant. Unless Frosty has something to say about it, doesn't seem to be the case. The ruse is set, and so is the post plant here, basically guaranteed.
There we go. It's just those little moments, those little cracks in the armor. Pablo, the ace extraordinaire, sending a shocking message against Texas A&M Maroon. We're not done yet.
Most balanced agent to date.
Maybe you don't like a laser beam? All you need to do is just track?
Oh my goodness. You know, my tracking's okay, but that's just insanely hard to shut down, right? Like, Pablo single-handedly won that eco round for OC Sports Eagles, right? They clear out the up, they open up the B site, and they push the agenda through Boba. Like, if you're Texas A&M Maroon, you just cut your losses, you move on. You don't really rethink or overthink how that defensive round went for you, in my mind. But again, it's showing how Pablo, like I said, on this new role, especially in these double duelist maps, has definitely found their calling card. Oh.
Jermsy, the audacity from you, my friend. I have to applaud. They managed to somehow, though, scrape away with no damage with their life. Props to that. Props to that, trying something a little different and seeing if maybe you could walk away with a frag there. Didn't quite happen, but regroup with the rest of the team and do the OC Esports trademark push through mid.
All right, well.
Vader does it again.
Vader, yeah, insane on these solo expenditures, and the other side that isn't solo is going to provide a 1v1 trade. Again, top mid, a heavy point of contention for the strategy, the adjustments of OC. The thing is, though, KHS is usually Boba, but they have not been spotted, so where are they playing? The answer is B main. This could be everything as they deny the spike plant, find Vader as well, and now with the extra utility, now with the advantage in hand, they should be able to confirm hopefully where Germsy is, or at least where they're not. Big and chilling, I don't think the gun barrel was spotted, so they don't know, but they're gonna know where KHS is, and KHS is just not taking the chance that they don't have to.
Yeah, no, KHS has been doing so much for this team with that Silva brilliant jump peaks. The Germsy pain shells are gonna force them out to take this fight, where now it's whittled it down to a 1v1 against being chillin'. The Omen can really just play around with time, or let Germsy clutch it out. OC Esports, third round done and accomplished on the board.
And again, this was something I kind of posed there in that third round of the game. I was like, is this double duelist composition going to be able to rein in the aggression, be, slower when they have to be? And we've talked about how maybe the rotations or the re-exits have been too slow, but Gerbs are there, even with 15 seconds left, nerves of steel, confident in their tell that Bing chilling was going B main. And like we said, we saw the gun barrel on the perspective of Germs. I wonder if their team calmed it to them if they didn't necessarily realize it, because that would have been like, hey, they're headed towards the bottom of mid. They probably are going to go main. So again, maybe communication a factor, but now I got to communicate how to get away of a Hunter's Fury from KHS. Unfortunately, the gamble not working out, but it's a wealth of information for them now to rotate, hopefully, KHS back to this B site.
Yeah, and Carrot's hearing everything, right? Their tripwire's been destroyed by the pain shell. Now they need to make sure that their back is protected from Germsy, but it's not. They completely caught unawares, and that's left the site devoid of life to prevent the spike from being from being planted. And now out comes the Rolling Thunder, where Pablo, they've done it once before and they're gonna do it again. Aussie Frosty trying their best, but a boom bot's gonna knock them down, and Germsy making it look so easy.
This is why you never count yourself out. 6-4 here from 0, I think it was 0-6 actually on the scoreboard. So insane performance here, insane confidence spin. Really, I think the momentum shift was that ace, was it not? Like, I'm pretty sure that round 7 was that eco ace from Pablo off of the overdrive here. Now, what have they gotten? They've gotten, 2 Rolling Thunders. They now have their second showstopper of the half. So they're farming ult orbs as well. And I think in terms of the ult utilization and conversion factor, it's been so much higher than TAMU, who just looked stable because they are the more veteran squad here when it comes down to consideration and experience in the competitive environment. But aside from that, like they're going back to the basics here, that neon aggression contact play. You have Joba in the support of the back lines. The other change that I do like is that KHS is playing top mid instead of Boba here. So maybe they can get this mid information or...
Oh
okay,
my
they
God.
can't from the grave.
Yeah, Pablo, whatever they've done during that timeout, Zobi, Pablo is just been unreal for this team. Somebody, they got to check them PC, though. There was no information given, right? There was no breath. There was no footsteps. It was just a literal shot in the dark. And Pablo has... Texas A&M Maroon's got to be wondering to themselves, too. Huh?
That's like a Aim Labs like crosshair placement routine that you've just run through a million times and are like, all right, I'm playing my routine. That's the angle I got to clear.
Yeah.
But... again, they take top mid space and then they decide where to go. Ooh. And the decision usually has ended with a round victory minus the pistol. Joba box in a corner. Germsy knows it, but they don't use a nade. Ooh.
Oh my gosh. And now we're seeing, especially to Zobi, this team using the double duelist to their advantage. Overwhelming force, breathing down their necks. And I'm loving this. OC Esports coming off the back of this timeout has just confused the senses of Texas A&M Maroon over and over again, and it's been piece by piece, round by round. And what has been a 6-0 first half for Texas A&M Maroon, the gap has closed massively by a now 5 rounds in a row from OC Esports, and a very strong possibility of sending this first half into a 6-6.
I don't really foresee a timeout from TAMU here, but Carrot doing a good job playing off the utility just to hold on to their weapon here. Now, dogs have the scent trying to hunt them down, but unfortunately, Hunt's timer might just run out here. Vader gets the opportunity.
Wow.
and in the last split second is able to deny them that weapon save for the last round of the half. And again, TAMU, I don't think they're a team to take a timeout here. I think they're just going to cut their losses, hope the momentum shift of the next half is enough to get across the finish line here. And even if it's not, right, this was OC Esports Eagles map pick here. So just enough to shake the confidence, to rattle the bars a little bit. Might be enough for them. But if you're Texas A&M Maroon, what do you do this last round, Sam?
You got to try and do whatever you can here, especially if you're KHS. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be doing anything too crazy, like walking towards a smoke where OC Esports is just going to rip your head off. It's all got to be so careful. And the adaptations from Texas A&M Maroon just haven't been happening, right, Toby? They've been kind of doing the same thing from zero to hero as best they can. What? Dodge over the trip? Excuse me? Pablo is just jumping over the sixth sense from this guy is completely unreal. Over and over again, and now they're still firing off with unlimited power, and Joba's got to step up to the podium for a double kill. KHS by themselves 43 HP on the reload in 4K, and OC Esports has sent us into a tied first half, 6-6. Toby, please correct me if I'm wrong though. Pablo jumped over that trip, right? I'm not tripping here, right?
Yeah. And like I was like, oh, maybe they saw it on some piece of utility like an Aldrin, but no, they don't even have a Sova on their squad. So that's just like a hard read of like maybe new Cypher setups or maybe like a last second like just knee-jerk reaction. Like we need to get them on like a reaction speed test kind of thing. But either way, just you talked about it. TAMU didn't make any adjustments that last round. The only change I saw was Carrot, right? Maybe some PTSD from getting stabbed in the back. I think it was by Dermsy, so they play in Market instead, right? Maybe also recognizing that Pablo did have that overdrive. But aside from that, 6-6 here. We are tied at the half after a dynamic opening from TAMU. So let's see if they, tap into a dynamic nature and can change with the half swap.
Right, whatever.
And that's a great first, light.
Aussie Frosty taking a page book from the Pablo line of thinking. Just fire through the smoke and see what you can walk away with. And again, massive wins here. A quick flashbang out, but guess what? Texas A&M Maroon are all on B main. Regroup with the rest of the team. Catch yourself inside of the trip. Ooh. Vader trying to fire through the smoke, but the paranoia is going to slow things down. Does dodge the relay bolt, but not the shock dart. 75 HP. They've been whittled down to. Spike eventually working its way to get planted, but it's now 5v4.
Got a little bit of chip damage as well through that cage. Maybe clip the wings of Aussie Frosty, the Neon here, so they can't get oppressive into Boba. All they're going to do is set up the crossfire here with Bing Chilling. And this is, again, you look at the comp for OC Esports, they don't have a lot of retake potential other than this breach fault line. So here you go, that utility, and just a sheer number of players. And that's enough to get you past the finish line, I guess. Power Friendship at its finest. OC Esports Eagle, first pistol on the board, and it's going to get them their first lead in this series as well.
You ignore the Neon at your own peril. Pablo slides in, and the rest of TAMU were so focused on grabbing the other players beyond that because I thought they were going to be fine, right? They have the crossfire set up, but Pablo is just a step above everything right now, it feels like. And ever since that timeout, a completely different OC Esports team who has now gained the lead, Zobi. This is 7-6, and through all considerations, should easily be able to win out in this round, bring themselves to that 8-6, and give TAMU Maroon maybe that idea in their head, well, maybe we should take a timeout.
Well, they win the Seco, there would not be a need, and again, you talk about it, shots through the smoke, are gonna line from afar. OC,
wait a
gonna
minute.
fall though. Pablo able to collect a weapon here, perhaps. And everybody now realizing they got to get out of dodge, maybe show some respect to this site take because that weapon's been collected. They've overwhelmed elbow control off of a beautiful timing and positioning challenge, but it's not enough here again. The trade's coming through for TAMU.
They are
Joba Classic.
It's straight up abusing the numbers that you have. And OC Esports was kind of just giving away the ones. Sure, your enemy is running with only classics, maybe some sheriffs here and there, but if you're trying to fight them in the 1v1, in the 1v4, and you're not landing your shots, well, we see the evidence starkly right in front of us. So for Vader, you're just trying to, again, isolate as many of these 1v1s that you can. I mean, you're in a 1v3, and the rest of Texas A&M Maroon are pretty much on site, right? KHS is a little bit away from the rest of the squad. Careful behind you on elbow. You look away for just a second, though, Vader. And that cost you everything. A thrifty round for Texas A&M Maroon. And Zoe, this map of Sunset is very neck and neck.
And I mean, we say that like the magical spell was cast during the timeout, but maybe it was just me, you know, jinxing TAMU Maroon, where I was like, oh, this is the CVAL champs TAMU that's showing up today, and then I was like, oh, now it's back to the close affairs because they have a substitute player variant. But aside from that, I think, like I said, they kind of used the half swap as a mental reset. And especially being able to win that thrifty out is huge here. You reset the economy. And I like the awareness here from TAMU, right? Other than the spy cam, maybe trying to bait them into these swings because they recognize there could be a rampant eco play. Do they recognize it's so heavily mid-focused, though?
Oh, they're not doing it just yet. The cage goes up. Protect them from the other players inside of there. Oh, poor Aussie Frosty. Caught in the reload in 4K. Now KHS walks out of the smoke, and my God. KHS, calm down there, buddy. 3K, Texas A&M Maroon, back in the lead.
I mean, that's a great play, right? You realize just how many players there truly are for OC Sports Eagles. Their focus is on bottom mid, where, like we kind of mentioned in the first round and the second round, like they were getting like away with little murder, right? Like from the opening frag, I think from Aussie Frosty to the chip damage onto Mini, all through that smoke. So they said, okay, let's disrespect their mid control, fight them head on, because the worst we can lose is the round. We didn't have weapons, it was an eco, and unfortunately does not go their way. So Texas A&M Maroon back in the lead here. Weapons in hands kind of for both squads here. A little bit of a bonus situation going on for a few, but aside from that, it's just a simplified B hit. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, it's just as plain and simple as it gets here. It's still a lot of damage being dealt on the other end of it. Unfortunate timing again. Was it through the smoke, or did Vader peek out just enough to land the headshot over there? Yeah, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, but you're going to see the prime 4v4 OC Esports. And waiting for the rest of the squad to regroup together before they begin the retake.
This is interesting as well. A little bit of a pause here for OC Sports Eagles, maybe waiting for regeneration of utility, but as they dive in, Joba is a solo defender. Jermsy getting the double refrag here, makes it a 2v3. All you gotta do is play time. KHS Carrot, though, low for utility, low on options, so they just gotta put their lives on the lines, and it's all down to KHS. A great reveal. They know Mini is close by, and 3K for 3K to keep TAMU Maroon in the lead.
Give it up for KHS right now. 20-10. A lot of these rounds hinging on the success. It feels like the past 3 rounds now, Zobi, right? Because you look all the way back at the thrifty that Texas A&M Maroon won, and guess who started it all? Guess who started that roll? It was KHS getting the early initial pick off onto Pablo with that sheriff, and now it's just been round after round after round. And then not to mention the capper of the past 2 has been 3Ks from them alone. And so this, for Texas A&M Maroon, KHS, give it up for yourself, buddy.
Oh, for sure. Like, it's usually KHS that's the one that's subbed out when Carrot is playing. So the fact that now they're both in lobby together, it's like quite poetic here that they're the one clutching out. They're the one that's 20-10. But it's an interesting approach, right, for Texas A&M Maroon, because we've heard with the new B Sunset, like the key to winning out this site is usually market control, and neither team is really fighting for market, right? Like, we saw Vader with that really early frag, but that was it. And then it was just this full backside contention point from both teams. Like, just like a mutual agreement to, like, just ignore market altogether.
This is crazy from TAMU. You got your pick off onto B, maybe not so crazy, right? And then they just back off. They feel that the rotation could be coming in this direction, and so rather than playing into OC Esports' hands, they start the pivot towards A, where guess what? There's only just the one player. There's only Jermsy. And they may be stuck inside of this corner, but at the end of the day, too, Zobi, it's also just a Guardian. There's no one else to support you if anything goes wrong here. You have one satchel, one opportunity, and it's just been lost. And this could be the best chance for Texas A&M Maroon. And in fact, it is. This A site has no one here. The loss of Jermsy, spike planted, a 5v3.
Even if things do get dicey, right? Joba has the Rolling Thunder, you got the Overdrive, like, you have options here. And while Zen's able to kind of prolong the inevitable with an Aftershock and a Fault Line, as the timer is low, eventually it's going to go down. It's going to be this 5v3 retake, waiting for the teammates, which is nice here. But now you get the counter utility from TAMU just to continue moving the start line.
Yeah, and then you're seeing so much being dumped inside of this choke point. And it feels like there's nothing that OC Esports can do, except for maybe a couple of spicy shots from Pablo. But guess what happens when you slide over to the other side? You are met by the actual firing squad of Texas A&M Maroon, now in the double digits.
I really wanted to see Pablo rip the Overdrive there. in the 1v3 and then slide across and just like ninja fruit style get all three. But unfortunately, it does not go their way. They need another reset. They need another timeout to download the latest patch, right? Of what is the OC Esports frag comeback, like we saw in the first half. We'll see if it works out in their favor here. But my concern is that I mentioned this, right? The ult disparity in the first half and the second half, where Texas A&M Maroon didn't seem like they had too many big impactful ones, right? Well, now those impactful ultimates are coming online, and you have more control of where you apply them on the attack than the defensive half, in my mind, right? Because we never really saw Texas A&M need a cohesive retake with like a Rolling Thunder or an Overdrive, and now they kind of get to plan around that.
Yeah, they get to put things into their ring, right? Their territory, and how they want to dictate the pace, whether they want to use that Rolling Thunder for initiation or do more of what we saw OC Esports time and time again, where it's just shoving them back and stopping them from getting onto site and playing around that Rolling Thunder. So for Texas A&M, who has been able to string together now 4 rounds in a row, you use the timeout that you get from OC Esports, you know, for your own benefit as well. Get an idea of how things are going to go here. And for OC Esports, you're talking about the downloading the latest patch. Well, let's hope that there is no malware on that executable.
Well, I mean, one of the newest features of this update seems to be a double duelist fight over towards the B site. You got Pablo and you got Zermzy, so you can get the stun, you can get a showstopper follow-up, even some overdrive if the chaos goes your way. And I love they've disguised all of this with the spy cam, right? So that you don't expect it. You expect business like normal, when in reality, there is a Bucky, there's an overdrive, and there's a bazooka in your face, Sam.
Oh, yeah. This is good. This is good adaptation. But Pablo wanted to make it look cool with the overdrive. They thought they got that ace once and they could do it again. Texas A&M Maroon has different ideas of how this round is going to play out against OC Esports. Now you just get the spike planted, the 3v2, and even though Garrett and Bing Chillin may be hurting, well, OC Esports just that little bit extra more.
You fall back, man. You play this Rolling Thunder, right? You play your win condition. And I like how fast the rotation was, but again, Texas A&M are opening up this round by holding their ground, holding down B main, and just receiving that aggression from OC Esports Eagles. It was huge. And I like this from Zen and Mini here. The high-low, the rewrap from the Omen. All of this is really picturesque. And when you're stunned, it makes quick work. At this point, time's against you. There's that positioning again from Bing Chilling. Like, why do you res there? They're just going to Rolling Thunder it. You're not going to have time. It's not even going to be halved as you find the frag on a Joba. You got to cut your losses, save these weapons, and get out of dodge. Zen not able to find a similar escape route as Mini does. Now it's 11-7 here, Sam.
Yeah, so you've used your Clove ultimate. Mini is still alive, right? They get to carry a weapon into the next round, but yeah, turns out there was malware in that executable. This is a very tumultuous situation that OC Esports has found themselves in, right? The economy not looking good, so they're really cobbling everything that they possibly can for what is going to be the final buy round for them going into the Texas A&M Maroon match point. And unless they can stop the roll here, it's kind of like a now or never, a do or die situation for this team.
Want to keep Texas A&M Maroon off of that map point on your pick as well. And I mean, I would also be going to the B side if I was TAMU. You've gotten onto that site pretty much uncontested, most part, minus that initial pistol retake from OC Sports Eagles. And all of this is just a fake, right? Like maybe trying to prey off of OC Sports Eagles and their lost last round on the retake. The difference here is that look at this aggression again, the double duelist duo. That's been weeded out as well, so now you know they're not coming to A. So I feel like OC Esports Eagles has all the information about what should be coming, and they've still rotated off the B site.
Yeah, they have. You've left Vader on an island alone by themselves, right? They saw everything from the back of that cam, but now they gotta go inside, otherwise caught out by the recon bolt. They do manage to grab Joba down, but the Hunter's Fury is in this choke point from Boba, stops OC Esports from pushing back in, and leaves things in a 4v3.
All right. A little bit of an adapted crossfire here as well towards CT. We saw them piece apart easily with a stun on that first pistol round, so they don't want to repeat that. Now they even have more utility to facilitate their team. Of course, a Judge is able to find a frag in this post-plant situation, but even that's not enough because Sam, as you mentioned, Germsy is so clean. And I go back to what I said a few rounds ago, Sam, where I said both of them had a mutual agreement to kind of ignore market on these retakes. And it seems like Germsy said, I found a loophole in this contractual obligation, and they took it to town, right? They split the attention, they completely dismantled that CT hold, and that is, again, why market's the key to the new Sunset.
And this is OC Esports, right? This is a team that is unafraid of having their backs against the wall. We saw that in the first half where things were 6-0, and look what happened, right? It was 6-6. Both teams exchanging blows with multiple rounds strung in a row. But OC Esports needs to win out 3 more rounds just to tie against Texas A&M, and these are the kind of moments, right, where the pressure can either crumble you or turn you into a shining diamond.
All right. Slower approach here. Texas A&M Maroon. Again, feels like there's a magnet drawn into this B site. I like this from the shadows here. Cancelled though. Without much information I think gained. It is just kind of a hope you draw people off the B site while you exec here. And again, OC Esports Eagles may feel like they've cracked the retake, so they're just going to give up this site. Gather information off the spy cam passively. Know where Spike is planted. Aussie Frosty, no other plans.
The smoke coming down at just the last second, saving Aussie Frosty's life and managing to gain the pickoff onto Vader. So OC Esports not operating at the strongest that they possibly could be. Kara's keeping an eye on mid, but I'm realizing that they're already there. This wall is going to go down, and unfortunately for them, Cypher was so close to getting rid of Germsy, and now they've been reinforced with their Omen, but time is starting to run out for OC Esports. They're taking so long to get onto the site because they're worried of what's happening in mid, and Aussie Frosty gets away with another 3v3. Time is starting to work against them, but you've left things open for just a little too long. Germany has no other choice but to try and hold it, but try as you might. Texas A&M Maroon. Match point.
And now we're seeing different ways that market can be the key to victory, right? We saw twice the big chilling, the re-wrap through market late into the round here. Last player you expected to be is the Omen, but there they are time and time again. Your final cloaked Grim Reaper to perhaps bring a loss on your pick of Sunset, because it is now 12-8. You need 4 rounds in a row flawlessly just to get to overtime here, and the economy's not looking great, right? You get a Light Shield Vandal at your best, and at your worst you get a Deagle Light Shield. So let's see if OC Eagles, maybe this Rolling Thunder could be the key to success. But I feel like Zen's in the hottest seat possible right here, right? Like, they are the first form of contact that would come unless TAMU has a heavy focus on it to elbow. Then it's your Cypher. I think they've realized that Zen, after they set up for that initial kind of fake out, like, oh, we're still A main, they fall off. They play more reserved.
Yeah, you're just trying to play things so carefully right now with your OC Esports. Not giving too much away to your enemy. That's good, though, from the spy cam. Saw a lot there. They're just going to try and be the tip of the spear and get rid of someone through hopes and dreams. Aussie Frosty is up around with the paranoia and the flashbang. Set this neon up for so much, and they get away. Oh, it was so close, but they walked into the aftershock. At the very least, though, Aussie Frosty did their job. They gained the space and gave enough time for the spike to be planted.
All right, here we go. The retake, while the Rolling Thunder is not really going to help them out, and that the showstopper might
my
that doesn't find a frag somehow, and Joba 2 kills make this a 2v4. Sam,
it's tenuous. It's scary. Biddy, look behind you, buddy, because guess what's happening in Elbow KHS? It's all over the place. Texas A&M Maroon planting their flag on the first map of Sunset, 13-8.
wow, and there we go. I said there was a possibility of a 2-0 here for OC, but that's still a strong possibility for TAMU as well. The reigning CVAL champs, and OC, like I said, that was their pick, so I was confident, and they were also starting on the attack with the double duelist, but when you start off 0-6 there, that's a really hard mental hole to get out of, even if a star player like Pablo is acing their way through it with an overdrive. And now... Ascent on the other side. I hope you did your homework, Tammy, because if not, and you roll into what the composition we saw last week, I would be heavily concerned, Sam.
Yeah, right. A reminder or a newsflash for people who may just be joining us, right? OC Esports, they skew. They throw the standard Ascent composition in the dumpster, right? And then set it on fire with gasoline. It's the triple Sentinel with a Sova and a Clove. And the triple Sentinels, by the way, Vice, Clove, Vice, Deadlock, KJ. So, yeah, they are really trying to cook up something new here. And I mean, 13-3, Cumberland Phoenix. So it's it worked once. We'll see if it will work again against a stronger team like TAMU Maroon Zobi. But we're gonna find all of that out and more after this upcoming break.
Here. Just showed up in the yard a couple days
Has a
ago.
dog been digging in there?
I don't think so, dude. That goes way down in there. Seriously, did you just lose your meat stick?
Yeah.
Oh, no. There's something in there, dude. Just leave it.
Are you kidding me?
We'll just head to the house. Just leave it.
The hell with that.
Oh, yeah, there's something in there.
Want one?
Thank you.
It was worth it.
Oh, man, this is incredible.
Oh, wow.
Huh?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Hey, man, grab me a meat stick. I think I can reach it if I just a little more. Just let me go a little. I can't. Just a little more. I almost got it. Careful! Oh, God. No. Come on, just reach. Reach. Just grab my hand. I can't hold it. Grab my hand.
Give me the meat stick. This other hand's closer. The one with the stick is... Oh! What am I supposed to say?
It doesn't matter. He's dead. He ain't listening to you anyway.
I'm hungry.
No. Put it away. I can't watch it. Oh, crap. Just reach in. You gotta pull it. Just grab it. Just take it out of his hand. What do you mean you can't?
He won't let go.
What do you mean he won't let go? He's
Help me.
dead.
Help me. Get in there. No, just hold on.
Make him let go of it. No, I got you covered. Just go in for a hug. Go and get on in there. It's a bad loss. Yeah, hug him up. Just reach, hug him up.
He's breathing. On the other side.
Go.
I can't.
Just-
I can't do it.
Help me, Lord. Help me get over this loss.
I can't breathe.
Hey, I can't breathe. I'm so upset. I can't breathe. Stop. You knock on wood so they go to heaven. It's like a lucky. Hey, get the stick.
Yeah.
Hey, do you the meat stick?
Yeah, I got it.
Hey, just hold tight for a second. They're moving the casket. Just hold tight.
Yeah, that's no worries. I got it.
Oh, what an awesome day for a pump, dude.
Yeah, I gotta take it easy. Doc says if I exert myself, I will die.
You overexert yourself, you will die.
I'll tell you what, you finish the workout, all these could be yours. That looks good. A little bit of honey ham for the ham. Get after it, and that's your, nope, get after it, and that's your treat. Hey, do the exercise, do the work, then you get the reward. That's how this works, man. You gotta give it max effort, maximum effort. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Big hams. Make it work, those hams. Work 'em. Putting in the work. Yeah, baby. Yes. Dude, this is a spicy workout. Gotta make it worth it. Building the beef and bringing home the bacon, baby. I'm loving it. Teriyaki is just about within your reach. Come on, get you some. Come on. Ooh, ooh. Maximum effort. Maximum effort. You're there. You're almost there.
That's so worth it.
It's again a glorious evening. Welcome back, everyone, to week number 7 of NECC VALORANT. My name is Sam Talks. Joining me is Zobi. And hey, guess what, Zobi? We actually have some stats from our previous match between OC Esports versus TAMU Maroon. So take a quick peek at those real quick.
Of course. We got to see who to keep an eye on in the next game, right? And Pablo had the spotlight in the first half with their ace, and then Germsy truly stepped up with late round impact. All in all, though, not enough to close out or shut down TAMU, who we talked about at KHS. When they show up, they show up at 23 and 13 on the support role for KHS on the Sova here. And Aussie Frosty, again, just like they're doing their job. They're entering on the duelist. So all the boxes kind of being checked here, even without Naber in the picture, right? The set plays, just kind of the habits for the squad falling in into par, and Carrot as well, being able to hold their own a lot on that B site. It was a great addition.
It was a great addition, and watching these neons play, right, Zobi, it's kind of like a work of art, and it makes me think, what they could be fueled with. And well, hey, if you want to be fueled with something, G Fuel, make sure to go and check that out. NECC 20 you get 20% off all of the products, Zobi. It's kind of amazing. So NECC 20, go check it out, gfuel.com. Really great brand, actually. I enjoy their drinks quite a lot.
Yeah. And if you want something that's like maybe not as that kind of energy, you can also get some nice protein, right? With Wenzel's Farm. I personally love their little commercials. Like, we're always laughing at them during the breaks, or at this point we're like imitating the lines because we've seen them so much. And I just want to try it to see if it lives up to the hype. Like, would I die for a Wenzel's meat stick? You guys have to order it to find out. But
Yeah.
aside from that, let's get back to the game and back to the monster that could be Ascent. Now, we have such different agendas here, right? There's a chance where, again, we don't know who's going to fill the Naber deadlock shoes for TAMU, so they could go back to a stock standard composition, versus OC Esports has gone way off the bandwagon going for this insane triple sentinel, and they could go the normal. Like, there's so many unknowns right now, Sam.
Yeah, it splits your attention, and so I feel like without the Naber deadlock being here, TAMU is probably going to fall back onto some of the more comfortable traits. But hey, guess what, Zobi? We don't have to keep guessing for very long, because now we're here in the Agent Select, and Jova is going to be our deadlock for the evening. And well, OC Esports, Zobi, is not disappointing.
Oh my god, they actually did it! The Mad Lads went and did it! And like we said prior, right, this map, and if we make it to bind, they're starting out in the defense, so a triple sentinel, that's a great way to get started, and if you lose this half, then I don't know what else to say. But aside from that, Jova playing the deadlock, this is probably the best case scenario you could ask for. Like, yes, deadlock in my mind is a very different type of sentinel role, but if it's not your Cypher, it's definitely the next best thing. Other than, they did a great job on the Breach as well. They've played it in other non-collegiate tournaments pretty recently as well. So I'm curious to see how that's going to do. Maybe going to give Naber a run for their money. We'll have to find out. But aside from that, all eyes from me are on OC Sports Eagles this half. Like, look
Good
at
lord,
this
at
A
A
side.
side.
I'm sorry, but if anybody gets a flank off from TAMU Maroon, I'm done. Like, Alt F4, you're done.
Yeah, that A side should be. I think that's violating some codes in the Geneva Convention. I'm sure that is.
There's even the Sonic sensor there.
Disgusting. I know they have the alarm bot entry, they have the thorns going into the site, and the sonic sensor on top of that. So if you're gonna try and break out onto that site, good freaking luck. And Zin, and we're talking about the Sentinels, but Zin is gonna go have a party of their own. But meanwhile, Texas A&M Maroon, they don't care about any of this Sentinel utility. They don't care. As long as you can land the shots and avoid everything, you're good to go. Pablo's gonna fire back with one of their own. The walls up from both of these deadlocks, but it's still Texas A&M Maroon who's on the site itself. Oh, they saw the tip of the barrel. Pablo's running away with this, but they had to switch over to the Ghost, but not quick enough, and now you're leaving it all to the Vice to win in a 1v2.
All right. Both teams making great decisions here, right? Like, you stack 3 mid, that's where you have no Sentinel utility on a triple Sentinel, and the gunfights don't go your way. Pablo holds down the site long enough to set up Germsy for this 1v2. Can they close it out? Classic in hand, only 20 HP though, and Joba's full.
You have
And there's a sensor on stairs.
You have a flash, but guess what? There's a sonic sensor. Joba. Always so crazy, especially starting off round number 1 with a 3K. Texas A&M Maroon. Another pistol is theirs.
And that round, again, to me, like, we talk about, like, oh, what can these compositions bring to the table? Like, how scary can that triple Sentinel be? And it feels like both of these teams understood that. And then, again, this just bubbled back down to an FPS game at the end of the day, right? 3 players on 3 players in mid, and TAMU Maroon out-aimed them. So I don't expect to see, I don't want to see many changes necessarily from OC Sports Eagles just yet. The fact that, for example, they have completely abandoned mid and entrusted just a singular turret on the B side to trust it here is scary to me, because TAMU is just going to consistently go mid every round. Like, I wouldn't want to go through a choke point on A or B with this triple Sentinel.
No, yeah, you kind of are working around and figuring where the Sentinels are kind of stacking themselves, and you can see the tepidness from Texas A&M Maroon that they don't want to go and push any site too quickly. But now we see the early initial wall come up here, and so for TAMU, that has to be the alarm bells rung, right? This deadlock is here. There's going to be sonic sensors. We get rid of the wall, but we have to be so careful going onto the actual site itself, where entry, right on the other side of that sonic sensor, is a Clove who can come out and smack you down with a couple of right clicks. You got to watch out for the rest of the team, and Mini is putting this Spectre to good use, and now we're seeing the power of the triple Sentinel. Zobi, thrifty from OC Esports.
Oh, all right. TAMU's about to run just mid simulator. They've gotta, like, now they know exactly what the A site looks like, and I can't wait to see the B variation of the same utility vomit. But aside from that, like I mentioned, it's just beautiful play. And again, I like how they're using both the shear and the sonic sensor, because typically you have that one player kind of holding down tree, right? And it's either the sonic sensor, or I think in the more typical composition, it's like a KO with a fragment, or an Omen with a paranoia. So the fact that they've just kind of replaced it here with this isolation utility, like a wall, and they have different variations here as well. Like, look, this round we have the thorns over towards tree instead, so that the sonic sensor can be over towards this turret on B main. And again, I talked about it. Mid simulator is what TAMU is about to realize is the key to potentially winning this attack side of Ascent.
Yeah, and then OC Esports puts down that deadlock wall so early, and it kind of corrals them to where they want TAMU to go, which for the moment is going to be mid. And now they know with the smokes going up, and even if you don't have much in the way of utility to stop them, they're there. And they're in this lion's den where the jaws could be closing around their necks unless Texas A&M Maroon is able to go fast enough. You feel a little scary for Mini at this point in the game, but that early initial pickoff, that first blood from the side of OC, could be good. That goes out. Has to catch so many inside of that, right? You've caught Joba at the very least, and then you hold your ground. Pablo tearing them all apart, piece by piece. They may have eventually fallen, but the damage is done.
Yeah, metal net, what a nasty combination. And I started playing Deadlock on Ascent recently, and I realized how big that net truly is. Rip to my past teammates that have gotten caught in it. You will be missed. But aside from that, it shows again how much it can help you control these large spaces and generate new choke points. So again, I talked about it. Mid's going to be a key piece, I think, to this moving triple Sentinel puzzle that TAMU needs to to figure out how to solve. And with the flexible utility that's still offered from OC Sports Eagles, after they invest all of this on the A and the B side, right? Like, you still, like I said, have that Clove utility. You still have that net from the Deadlock. All of this is insanely being coordinated super well from a new composition in my mind.
And you can tell this is something that they practice, something that they feel comfortable with. Pushed back momentarily by the Odin. Texas A&M Maroon, it's... where do they want to go? How do they want to approach this? How do they want to take apart the Sentinel utility piece by piece? And yeah, the mid play is going to be that good idea, but guess what happens? Every single time you get rid of it, you have to sort of, they reconvene over there to take that fight, and Vader misses the early initial shots onto Aussie Frosty. Zen, though, that Odin, just spray through the wall and try to win as best you can. The good news here, though, is that Texas A&M Maroon isn't down in the numbers. They've gotten rid of the controller. Even though they can still smoke from beyond the grave, as long as you're doing things like that, making OC Esports play into your hands, you just pull it all apart piece by piece.
That was a nice pacing, right? You whittle away that utility that we talked about that gives OC Esports Eagles that advantage. And I even like the smokes from Mini there, kind of helping them reposition safely to the backside boathouse. But then you give that information after Texas A&M clears the site, like, okay, there's two, we know how to deal with this. It becomes kind of a standard B exec instead of this 3 Sentinel monstrosity, because you're used to a KJ and a Sova on the B site together. And again, there was no more utility to mess around with once you get that deadlock wall up towards CT. And we talked about how I didn't want any player to be able to sneak through, but KHS, that was kind of the final nail in the coffin. Through spawn and cutting off some of those rotates. So again, tied 2-2 here, Sam. We'll see what OC Sports Eagles does to strike back.
It's gonna have to be, I don't think, very much striking in the typical sense that we think of.
The Sentinel part.
Yeah, we just hang back and wait and see what they're gonna do. And KHS doesn't see anything from the Owl drone, but you know there is someone on the other side of the archway waiting for that to happen. Aussie Frosty, you tried your best, buddy. I saw the idea, the plan was there in their head, but they couldn't get out in the nick of time, and so that leaves them completely open for Mini to capitalize. Annihilation, see if anyone's inside of the smoke. They're not. And of course, if you're OC Esports, you're not going to overplay your hand, and you're not going to extend any further beyond the site than you need to.
I was about to say, that is so early, and I like this because a big problem area was tree here. So what do? You use the Annihilation to clear that out, you use the Hunter's Tree to clear out the copy of utility, but you don't clear out the corner. And that
KHS?
should be the kill shot, but...
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, it was a little too
Hold your breath
determined.
and exhale.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing here. So OC Esports back in the lead. These two teams are giving us a lot of bang for our buck when it comes to this map of Ascent, Zobi, right? And you see that TAMU is trying different flavors, but it's what you've been talking about a lot when it comes to Ascent is that OC Esports changes the way that they play around this map. They have so many different looks. And Texas A&M Maroon is trying to figure out what all of those looks are.
Yeah. They might not have a VOD to go off of their game against Cumberland, but aside from that, like, I'm questioning the Annihilation use from OC so early on because it feels like those are great retake ultimates, like the Killjoy Lockdown, the Steel Garden, and then Annihilation when you don't have a duelist for the retake. Because we've seen them lose sight now, I think, like, twice-ish. And we'll see if that continues to be a consistent factor because they've gotten into B market pretty much uncontested.
Yeah, they're waltzing their way through. They're getting in. You try and pop off at the right moment to use this KJ utility. Aussie Frosty, massive disrespect, but Vader stuck inside a boathouse. They get to go inside of this cloudburst. Unbelievable what we're seeing from OC Esports, right? And now you're leaving it all on the back of KHS to win yet again. Attention drawn away just long enough, and Vader is going to tear you all down. OC Esports continuing to widen that lead.
And Mini popping off there as well. I don't even know where exactly they were coming from, but like we were so fixated on the dual Aussie Frosty was taking, right? Trying to clear out those boathouse players, which I said is a normalcy in this weird composition. It feels like when you're executing on a B and there's a Killjoy and a Sova, and the Steel Garden doesn't steal the blades away, but again, the support there from Mini instantaneously. The rotations are on point right now for OC Sports Eagles as well. So I want to go back to what KHS was able to do, right? You deposit these players around the maps, wait for a recall of utility, wait for a gap, and then exploit it. Because right now that isn't happening.
Good ideas from TAMU. There's not a lot of utility on this B side that they had to fight against, but pivot from OC Esports is so phenomenal, and the mileage that Vader gets just from this KJ being on site by themselves is unbelievable. And so is OC Esports. This team is just giving Texas A&M Maroon a walloping on this defensive half of theirs. And let's also take a look at Mini real quick, Zobi.
Yeah.
14-3.
Yep. I think we found ourselves a Clove main.
Yeah.
And like the fact that even when they're not fragging out, like if we think about a few rounds ago where I think it was Pablo the net and then Mini with the metal, like they're having insane impact aside from just being 14-3, which is insane just to say on its own. But again, we can't freak out just yet. It's 5-2, but it's a triple sentinel on the defense, and it's a cent. So everything goes for the way of OC Esports Eagles, other than this not being their pick, right? At the moment. It's next half where we're concerned for OC Esports Eagles and what it means, and how sided this composition could be. Aside from that, though, TAMU, like you mentioned, they're going to get better with each passing round, figuring out what this utility is, seeing what the adjustments are. And this round, they feel like they're going to be staring down a wall into tree.
Ooh. Yeah, this time around, though, look at the team. Look at the squad. They're more spread out, but if you're TAMU, you gotta start having that realization sinking in that OC Esports is never gonna go further beyond the entryways of these sites, right? They're not giving Texas A&M the opportunity to take away any of this Sentinel utility, and Mini is first blooding their way through a mountain of work. Aussie Frosty might just be crazy enough to go inside of there. Mini is playing with fire.
Oh,
Okay,
no.
all right, you know what? You play with fire? Aussie Frosty? Well, guess what? Mini is an inferno. I'm gonna burn you to a crisp.
30 seconds left.
All right.
Enemy remains.
Stand still. Silence.
Unbelievable.
Shattered again by Mini. Bingo for the trade, but Germsy claps right back, and OC Esports Eagles now on their 6th on that safety net here. And Texas A&M Maroon, right? They're making the changes at the macro level, right? Very, very nicely, right? Like, you think back to that disastrous round when the Steel Garden was invested, when Austin Frosty whipped a few blades onto the Killjoy, Vader back sight. The difference there was that I think it was Mini and Germsy, right? Were applying that pressure from CT. So if a wall's not enough to hold those players back, you need to take space there. And that's what Austin Frosty tried to do. But the cage and the smoke kind of eclipsing each other gave that opportunity back to Mini, who's now 17-4. And OC Esports Eagles, again, on this defensive half, show zero signs of stopping.
No, absolutely. It's a work of art, honestly, for what we know Ascent to be played as. And I love this idea too, right? You put Zin on the in lane of B site. You're going to be that early initial point of contact, but their job isn't to fight. Their job is to give information for Vader on when to pop off and use those swarm grenades. And this has sent Texas A&M all the way back in mid, where they're going to try and do a distraction play. The good news here, though, is how far Bing Chilling has been able to get onto the site itself. The big issue is that now we're seeing Hunter's Fury being expended. Aussie Frost is going to jump over the thorns, but Pablo just gets to fire away for free. Are we going to see another ace from this deadlock? No, we're not. But a 3K is nothing to scoff at, and KHS run down by Mini with the shorty. Flawlessly done here by OC Esports. And Zobi, starting to understand why that Cumberland Phoenix game was 13-3.
Now I want to go see, like, did they start out on the defense? Because that is the question of the hour, and I think I'm going to get my answer if a human Capucha does not hold me back. And the answer is, in fact, they started out on the defense. So they didn't have to play their attack half, right? So that's interesting, I feel like, because then Texas A&M Maroon, right? You sneak away with 1 or 2 more rounds. If you can just get yourselves into the attack half with enough, or sorry, to your defensive half with enough buffer room, there is a world where you can make a comeback, where we haven't seen the atrocities that a triple sentinel can bring for your attack half. So we'll see. For now, though, they are not spared from this nightmare just yet. 3 more rounds in this half. A little bit of more defaulted approach, right? Maybe trying to vie off of off of OC Esports Eagles. In fact, that they do rotate the Vice and the Clove pretty heavily once first contact is made. But you still have this Deadlock who's been kind of aggressive. Sometimes they main just for information. Like, there's so many moving parts here for OC Esports Eagles, and TAMU's in the dark about all of them.
Yeah, and they are so attracted to this B side. Mini quick peek in mid. Gonna catch out 2 of them, but they're still alive, and for what has been a deadlock or a clove extraordinaire, definitely can't sneeze at that. Also, reeled in by the net, but they're eventually going to get there. Yeah, look at that, going in just a little bit faster, and that's a massive victory here for them. They are going to be brought back to life, but there's only so many places you can go. It's more so for the distractionary tactics that we see, and that lockdown has again slowed Texas A&M Maroon down and given OC Esports the time that they need to regroup together and try to stop them. You put Zin in Boathouse, and it's all just throwing it back in the face. But this is Texas A&M Maroon's best opportunity to win a round of 2v2.
Yeah, the net catching both of them off guard. But again, where did it land? Where are the players? Now they reposition. A little bit of a protection. A bodyguard Carrot with a 3-piece and Bang chilling. He's able to keep both of them alive. 7-3 here. Texas A&M Maroon, I might have speak it into existence. You getting 2 or 3 more to cap off this half, and that could be enough. And Sam, you might just have been to the crux of it, right? Take your time, slow down, and reset. And while that round, there were immense mistakes in terms of kind of joint utility for the exec from TAMU. Like the paranoia, right, was late. You still had a player fall. But then once it was down to Bing Chilling and Carrot there left in lane, they kind of locked in and were following each other very, very well. Communication on point, the trades on point, and they closed things out. So 7-3 here. Maybe a little jarred with how this triple sentinel has affected them. But if they stay together, collective, the chance to end things here pretty stably. I mean, we went from a 0-6 to what? A 6-6 and now 7-3?
Yeah. The downfall of Texas A&M Maroon may have just been in the early moments of this round and that Germsy 2K. And that's not to even take into consideration how dangerously low Carrot is. A couple of shots there and it's over. And Vader is going to prove to us that sometimes all you need is just that one shot. But Carrot, any form of damage, they sneeze too hard at this point, Zobi. It's done for them.
All right, and maybe they've even called, I don't want to say a save just yet. This could just be, wait out the timer, re-hit when there's a little bit of time left. But I don't think that would necessarily be a bad idea, right? When you look at this composition, I mean, an 8-4 wouldn't be the end of the world, for sure. And I think keeping these rifles is the best way to achieve that, right? Like Bing Chilling, no shield, Carrot, no HP. And again, I talked about coordination between these two, but you still haven't even gotten through the insane utility here on this A site. Like, yes, the one player that's fallen is the Vice, where most of that is, but the crossfire is good. You have certainty that, or you did have certainty no one was going to go through a tree. And as soon as that wall falls, you put up a sonic sensor. So we're also seeing the ability here for the deadlock to get really mobile with their utility as well. So OC Sports Eagles, I need to see somebody, thinking men professionally analyze this composition, because obviously we haven't gotten to see it on the attack, and I feel like it's gonna go south real quick. But this defense, what are the vulnerabilities of it?
It's there's not very many, right? And if there is, I'm not smart enough, Zobi, to figure out those vulnerabilities, because right now it seems like there's just so much capabilities of being able to rebuke a team. And if you're OC Esports and if you're able to take defense on Ascent, this is the setup that you're going to be running every single time. I guess the biggest downside, come back to me in a round and I'll think of something, Zobi.
But no, I made the joke in Prod Chat. I was like, maybe this is their comp if they start in the defense, and they have a completely different one if they start on attack.
Yeah.
And you just gamble that you're going to be able to, 13-0 them on the defense, or, the 13-3, or even this, a 9-3. You hope you can make opposing team will make enough mistakes on their defense. But aside from that, Texas A&M Maroon, I think they're doing the best they can given what they have, right? Going mid worked a few rounds, and there was the adjustments from OC Sports Eagles, and they haven't been able to get away with it since. So what do? You rely on a solo player, solo stars to whittle away utility, maybe find an opening here with a solo kill. And so far, I think what they realize now is OC Esports Eagles is just trying not to give them those opening duels, right? Like the players are so far back, not taking any swings, only holding the angles they have to when utility gets destroyed, like the Killjoy Stairs watching Market.
Okay, finally, we're starting to see some of that movement come through. You're taking a heck of a lot of damage. You've been stunned out by the sonic sensors, denied the usage of your weapons. Unfortunately for Germsy, didn't quite go far enough to stop the players who were hanging out in B main, and they still were able to demolish them from coming through over on the other side. Vader's still alive on the side, and we know the impact that this player can have. And now it's down to the shoulders of Pablo and Mini to prevent the Texas A&M 8-4 first half.
Counting anybody here, I definitely would say Mini, but the reload kind of gives away half the game. Player confirmed lane. Pablo heard of the jump down, and now the bullets as well. Nice smoke here, nice metal to try and isolate these players, but I love this from Bing Chilling. It's very replicative of their reflanks from Sunset or Market, and might need it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go fast though, right? Because Aussie Frosty has no help. They come up from behind. They have to know that this Omen, this pesky player, has been a thorn in their side. The thorn is removed. And OC Esports, 9-3 for the first half. But the question now becomes, Obi, is that enough of a lead to secure them the win with this triple sentinel on attack?
Oh, and that's the question that I do not have the answer to, and I'm sure we will hear soon. I mean, the first half was a 9-3, I think, as well, for that game against Cumberland Phoenix. This could just be a matter of history repeating itself. It'll be a question of whether or not this pistol is won by TAMU and Maroon, but this is a squad we know you cannot count out here. Again, we talked about it. They used the Sunset half swap as a huge mental reshift after losing, 6 rounds in a row. And I think they can do the same here. 9-3 curse. If there's a time for it to happen, it would be now when your opposing and your opposition has a triple sentinel on the attack.
Yeah, and I'm so curious to see how this is going to go. But for poor Pablo, not going to go very well to start things off. Deadlock now eliminated. That's one less problem in the mind of Texas A&M Maroon, and especially one less problem that they have to deal with if OC Esports is successful on the plant of the spike. Now you just got to make sure that you don't take any chances anywhere else. The swarm grenade is going to go out, but Carrot's going to feel the full fury of that. A couple of trades here and there, though, and the numbers are still in the advantage of Texas A&M Maroon. OC Esports is struggling to fight through what has been a pretty decent defense from TAMU.
And I like this. A little bit of buddy system over towards the A site between Bing Chilling and Joba. And you got your heroic players, KHS, Solo B main. You got your Jet over towards Spawn. And Germsy might have just slipped it up through all of them. Bing Chilling and their frenzy cannot hold on. But the trade, Joba. Nicely done here. Oh,
that was so close. Over on the other side, clean right click from Joba. Make it a second one. Texas A&M Maroon. They were throttled on the first half. Joba, they're ready to put their best foot forward going into the second half.
And I mean, those right clicks, just triangles of trust, just chomping down on the OC Esports Eagles, the Huskies they are. But that was nutty and true faith again in Joba and their abilities. 9-4, like I said, that was a pivotal pistol here for the comeback to come in tow. I like the outlaw choice here from Aussie Frosty, right? Like, you look at the composition from OC Sports Eagles, they have nothing, right, that can, like, get them out of danger from wide swinging these positions, right? Like, yes, you got the flash and the smokes, but that's it.
Oh, wait a minute. Vader, there's no possible way you walk away with anything here, right? And Bing Chillin's going to make sure that, no, they don't. The judge is going to win out against the Classic in close range. All is right in the world. No laws of physics being broken just yet. Now OC Esports going to try and walk through mid, but Mini, in the attempt to put up the smoke, lays down their life to make that happen. And that is not going to give OC Esports any space gained off from this. So Aussie Frosty continue to hold inside of tree with the sonic sensor, with an outlaw. You got to feel, especially if you're going to be as crazy as I'm getting the vibes off of Zin right now.
And again, they're showing that they can, they can do more with less, right? Like, they're still holding down the same positions off of just this deadlock utility, off of some trap wires, and off of the outlaw. Spike down now in tree. At this point, if you're the remaining players, you're looking for economic damage, and they are not going to find any specials, perhaps. Pablo, serving them up quick with the deagle. AHS, bulldog in hand, just waiting instead for the team. Knows they have the spike, know they should have the round, and they don't want to give these weapons away, but there's now only 2 players remaining. The judge.
The judge has to come in at the end of the day to save the day, Zobi. Mad props to Pablo, though, because that may have just given you enough to be able to win out the bonus round of Texas A&M. And that kind of wibbly wobbliness for TAMU could potentially be felt going on into the later rounds, right? You don't want to make too many mistakes. But hey, well, at the end of the day, they do scrape by with the win there in that round, and now we're looking at 9-5.
You mentioned it. It'll kind of thwart the ability of 6 in a row like over on Sunset, hopefully here, not third round ability. Unless they can make some ratty plays like this, shotgun's the answer, one way's the answer. I think that's why there is some hesitation here from OC Sports Eagles, exploring maybe where a gamble eco strat could be. Like this, Thorns out. Unfortunately, Aussie Frost's not going to get caught by them, just nerves of steel, holding this angle, expecting the wide swing.
And I think they're also expecting a shotgunner to be there. I might not be Aussie Frosty with a Bucky, but they know that someone had a judge, and so they're not pushing out. Instead, abandon all ideas of grandeur going in towards A main. They're putting up one ways. You're seeing a couple of shots being taken there in that respect as well. So try for greener pastures on tree, where there may be some growth happening.
Ooh.
But that spy cam is going to catch them there again. And OC Esports, right, you're starting to get that feeling of what we saw from them on Sunset, where they take things so slowly.
Ow.
But that Germsy is not taking that shot slowly. Instead, light speed, full speed ahead. KHS, excuse me, that amount of damage from that far away with a Spectre. Mine doesn't hit like that. Fortunately, though, OC Esports is in.
No.
Germsy does it again with the Guardian.
I was about to say, that was some insane timing, but speaking of insane timing, the Stinger 2-piece might put this clutch in the realm of possibility for Carrot. You know where one is, the 1v1 isolated. No HP lost in the exchange as well here. Still utility to get through, deadlock wall up. No information on where these players are. I think logs is the last place you clear, unless you go market here, then it's the first. Door broken, but I think they've set themselves up for the trade quite nicely. Mini will swing off the contact. Got something to spread the contact. The cage, and
Wow.
there was a world where they won that. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, right, quick flick down. Had they just been a little bit faster, Vader was 30 HP. And we've seen
exactly.
crazy things happen like that before. It was so close. And again, right, you're looking over at OC Esports. They won the round. It cost them everything to make it happen. Every single one of them gone. But not enough to stop them from cobbling together the buy that they have going on here. And so now we're seeing for the first time in a sense, the even footing between these two teams going into the second half, and whether or not this triple sentinel for OC Esports is going to be able to gain the glory that they're looking and hoping for.
Yeah, the little damage there for the second round buy definitely puts him in an uncomfortable position, as OC Esports Eagles is able to reach double digits here. We talked about how there was the fear of the shotguns alive and well over towards A main, so I like this. Use the sensor, use the drone to clear it out, but now you can't clear out mid. Which is exactly where Aussie Fosty strikes for the first blood. Maybe we'll get Annihilation for the entry.
Maybe. Holding on to it for a little bit longer. Pablo wants to gain maximum value out of it. Oh, felt like something going on there. Yep, there it is. They know that someone's at ice, but Mini goes in fast. And now the deadlock wall is up. Aussie Frosty going to save their comrades, and the Annihilation gets nothing for Germsy. Well, you're fired at through the smoke. A so fitting end to that round. Texas A&M Maroon closing the gap.
And we're starting to, kind of see the OC Sports Eagles attack and how it functions, right? Like, you don't have that dive entry like a Jet, like a Raze, like a Yoru that you can normally see on Ascent. And so as a result, they either prey off the mistakes for TAMU, they, use the ultimates like the Annihilation to take off pivotal players that prevent you from funneling out onto a site, or you just kind of get eliminated, pieced apart in A main. And that's exactly what TAMU has to consistently do here, but this is where you run into the danger zone, is players that like to play aggressive like this, like Jova, cannot fall, or then OC Sports Eagles, it's exactly what they want on the entry.
Oh my gosh, and you're hearing all the shots being fired. Jova is an insane enough deadlock, an insane enough player to have crouched in front of almost the entirety of OC Esports. They even managed to get rid of the Vice, who has that ultimate online. So now they don't have to worry about losing their weapons, and they even did enough chip damage to the rest of the team that a lucky Aussie Frosty shot through smoke could have gotten rid of one of them, but you leave it to Mini, right?
What?
Big chill, and that is going to haunt their nightmares, I think, for the rest of their life, or at the very least, for the rest of this map zone.
Definitely gonna melt them, but Joba's here. Joba's got it handled. Ooh, Mini, though, not dead yet. Pablo trying to go off the pinch. The Sonic Sensor, though. Nicely done there, so you know exactly where a few of these remaining players are. Joba, alive and well, Annihilation in hand. Pablo trying to be the hero again for this squad.
Oh, they've been seen, they've been detected. They can't hold on to logs. That is a brilliant usage of the neural theft to figure out where the last two players are hiding and what they're going to be doing. Zin has no HP, Zobi. No HP, no weapon. Neither of them do. Right? A sheriff. We've seen some mileage drawn out of it from Pablo. Can they replicate that success when Texas A&M Maroon is popping off? And Choba even more so with a 4K? No, they can't. Texas A&M Maroon. It's now 10-7.
I like it. Confidence in the pacing of the retake there. Not really over-investing ultimates either, right? Like, you're going to have the Blades, you're going to have the Annihilation going into a round where you're truly going to need it, such as when a Steel Garden is available, right? Like, you don't lose your ults, you don't get suppressed here, you just lose those primaries. So this is when, yeah, if you are the side of TAMU Maroon, I'd be like, yes, make sure you guys have a secondary weapon, like KHS with a shorty. Maybe we'll see some Deagles as a secondary purchase here. But aside from that, that 4 planting could save them. We'll see if OC Esports Eagles, in fact, just kind of dive into a site off of the Steel Garden, or if, again, they're going to play it slow, wait for TAMU to make mistakes.
Oh.
Not again.
No, being chillin'.
They know.
Yeah, you got to clear out these corners, right? But that Joba play may be good enough to keep the veil covered for being chillin', and it is, right? They have no clue that this Omen is here.
Odin?
They just had to be a little bit quicker on the draw. And you're not going to leave your Omen stuck on an island with a judge, right? Surely not. TAMU Maroon is crazy enough to do that.
Yeah, it's a gamble, right? You'll lose your smokes, but you'll have the cages, hopefully, from Carrot. Again, it's bittersweet that it's the Killjoy for the second time in a row. Thought the Odin for sure was going to take that first dive off of breaking the deadlock wall, but now that's just been a threat enough to keep the deadlock wall active as well here, I believe. So they really have just gone back to square one while down a player. And I mean, you're not going to be sore for Sentinels anywhere when you have 3 of them compared to the smokes of TAMU Maroon, but still, this is going back to what we saw over on Sunset. 40 seconds left, and they have not made a decision on a full commitment yet.
It takes so long for this team to decide where they want to go. You see, Germsy wants to pop off with a Steel Garden. It catches 2 inside of it, but Aussie Frosty is already here for the team.
Wait.
And this is so scary. Okay, it took a second. Aussie Frosty needed to calm down for just a moment. And that Steel Garden basically got no value whatsoever. Hopefully the rest of the value that they're going to be seeing from this. Oh, you left KHS unchecked. You left them alone. And now you've let Texas A&M Maroon take the round. Unbelievable.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good time for a timeout, I think. Your first one of the game. And I think for me, 2 things stood out. One, I thought the Steel Garden radius could reach CT there, so the fact that Aussie Frosty still has their rifle in hand is huge. And I am right that they get that 1 for 2 special trade on the ultimates, right? The Annihilation gets invested, and the Bladestorm get invested. Don't necessarily know that they needed the Bladestorm, but still a great closeout there. And I love just the timing and understanding of the net as well for Aussie Frosty to get out of dodge, right? We saw Pablo, like, in an alternate universe, get that swing, get them while they're about to remove the net, right? With no weapon out. And they're able to, just in time, tailwind away, stay alive for that retake, and play with the team for a nice, seamless closeout that has clearly put OC Esports Eagles on edge here.
And I think they were blinded, too, going onto the site. Like, maybe a tad bit over-eager, hit themselves with it, or drawn out in some shape, way, or form. And that also just set up here Aussie Frosty for that extra little bit of success against Germsy when they were breaking out onto the site. But this is the big issue that I'm hoping that OC Esports is talking about, right? They take so long to get onto site. They take that whatever utility they use, it all just falls off to the wayside. And this is something that the execution needs to be a little bit more on the ball, especially when you don't have those space-taking agents like the Jet, Raze, the Yoru that you typically get out of Ascent. So for OC Esports, coming off the timeout, to put 3 players in mid, the other 2 towards the mains, A main and B main sites, and hopefully try to capitalize on some TAMU mistakes that have been not given very often lately.
And again, this is something that's been used from OC Sports Eagles, right? They use the sensors, they use that steel rose very liberally, just trying to gather information, and then they recall it immediately here. So they do a good job kind of substituting where a double initiator typically plays, I think, with this composition. But again, it's just the issue of, even when they have a double duelist, going really late into site execs with the fact that they don't have a duelist has really been biting them. And so they need someone to step up, right? It was Mini, I think, being that aggressive player, but now Mini's not entering, right? They're trying to stay alive here. And so it's really fallen onto Pablo, for example, with Steagle sometimes on Ecos to get frags like that. But then again, it's not part of the master plan. It's not part of the win con to solidify this A site and get the plant down. That's just kind of getting on the opposite side of the map when they really go and B.
Yeah, right. On the flip side, though, on the other side of the smoke, and Odin is spraying and praying. It's not actually the Odin to get the kill on the Germsy. It's Carrot's Vandal to pop off here. At the end of the day, though, OC Esports is going to get the spike planted even through the Hunter's Fury. Zin, though, the life has been paid for in full to make that happen, and you need every single player of your OC Esports to protect this spike from being defused.
Yeah, Germsy died. Your deadlock wall was off skew, so you have nothing to protect from this retake here. Alden and the Annihilation, which also whiffs. Great sonic sensor, but first bullet accuracy still there, and we know Joba has it. Vader, aggressive as always, falls back to another team after finding one, but this is still a 2v3. Sam and Mini,
The Colette! You couldn't have timed it any better if you're OC Esports. And finally for this team, finally, a ring in the ladder that they can continue to climb. They just need to do it 2 more times. We're looking at a tied series, but Texas A&M Maroon is far from done, Zobi.
I gotta reach out and talk to OC about this comp and who cooked it up after this game, because I am just perpetually in awe. Like I said, there's so many things that went wrong in that round, like the Germsy dying early when they had the shear up, like the deadlock wall not blocking mid, and they still are able to win it out. And maybe it was accredited to TAMU with a little bit of over-respect there, right, all playing from CT. So maybe they just can't give them sight again, which is what they've tried to do in previous rounds. But aside from that, like you said,
So smart.
and they gotta strike twice. Ooh.
Lightning is striking, but it's coming from Texas A&M Maroon. They're laying down the law, they're laying down the hammer. And a double kill to kick this round off, suffering no losses of your own, is massive. It's huge. You've won the battle of mid. You sent OC Esports into a tailspin, right? They've lost their Clove utility to smoke onto site. And the Vice, while not necessarily the linchpin to a lot of success of this team, it's just where you're so close, right? Where you're scratching at the surface of a win, every mistake is going to be felt resonating through you. For Texas A&M Maroon, in that previous round, at the end of the day, could have just been a speed bump for them.
All right, well, I was about to say, Osty Frosty, you have a sensor. Don't get ahead of yourself here. This is a difference as well. Pablo has Spike versus usually they're that kind of external lurk over towards A. You get your Killjoy lurk over towards B. But now they're grouping up, making a more direct assault here, which I am concerned because they do have a lot of players, but this is a nice combo. The net. It's going to catch everybody here. It's just a mutual agreement. The wall here, though, is really clean. Confirm how many players are there.
It's running out of
There is
time.
almost 10 seconds, left here. And they might just be saving.
It sure feels like that, but KHS is going to ensure that guns will be paid for in blood if you're going to try and save them. And look at this. All of TAMU together, reunited as a family. Except for Cypher. They're off doing their own thing. No more guns to be drawn away from OC. But at this point, TAMU is just sending a message. We're going to come for you if you wanted to, but not tonight.
All right, 2 more rounds and we are tied here for Texas A&M Maroon. OC Eagles Esports. I think they still have 1 timeout left in the chamber here. But this is what I mentioned prior, right? Like this composition without a dive duelist is you can depend on these ultimates, like the Killjoy ult, like the Sova ult, to patchwork that lack in the composition, right? Like you cause chaos while you're taking the site with the Killjoy lockdown. You throw the Hunter's Fury and to throw the players off position. All of this makes it just as powerful. And I think that's why we have such a heavy A main presence this round for the first time this half. And I think that's why the Omen was fighting so fruitfully for it, right? The one way, the secondary smoke. All of this to try and shroud how many players are truly over towards A main.
And for OC Esports, you're in this hurricane, this storm that Texas A&M Maroon has been brewing, right? You're not eking by with an easy ascent win. if you're even able to get it at all now at this point. Mini gonna do a quick jump peek over here, sees Aussie Frosty occupying this usual post towards tree, and not leaving this to fate, not leaving this to chance, nor putting their life away worth anything. And that is brilliant, right? Germsy is going to be that, quick couple of fires with the Sheriff, draw the attention away from Aussie Frosty, where Mini is able to capitalize massively, and then you lock down the site, but KHS is eating them alive. Jova, not buying into the fake, not buying into anything here. Even dodges the net.
And they self-net themselves as well, Pablo. And then it stalled out all of this. Mini realizing, okay, we can backpedal to the A site. I've moved the line of scrimmage forward for us. But unfortunately, Bing Chilling is trying to run a touchdown to deny this rotation altogether. And they might have just gotten the timing here. They don't no representation, recognition of the angle. Invader now trying to envoy them onto the site, but KHS is the next thorn in your side.
Vader may have just solidified this round for the team, but it's Joba we're talking about here, Zobi. If there's any player that can do the 1v2, it might have been them. But reality sinks in, and it's not. OC Esports now on match point. One more round to go.
All right, Tamu. Timeout. No.
Yeah, time, right?
Ooh.
Maybe something.
All right. The playbook deepens another page, another chapter for OCC Sports Eagles, where they use these ults for fakes instead, where you try and walk onto a site off the Killjoy lockdown. And it almost worked if it hadn't been for those meddling kids, I mean Joba. But, again, like you mentioned, Vader, truly heroic that round, from being able to help not only get the player across tree, but across site as well, when there was two players trying to get in their way. And then all of that puts them one round away from buying that decider.
Oh, okay. KHS has been pinged in the butt by the recon bot, but they skirt by with their life just long enough. Aussie Frosty seeing if any value can be gained by shooting through the smoke. Not quite yet. Again, we're seeing the OC Esports lovely taking as much time as they possibly can and giving us just that little bit more of a heart attack. Vader's going to take a couple of pot shots themselves, but caught by the net. Going to have to try and remove it before they get out of there. Barely make it out by the skin of their teeth.
No.
The timing. If Mini gets this. Oh, but they got timing themselves. That's going to force them to use the run it, the not dead yet. And now they are dead in finality and totality.
Ooh, I was gonna say the Chaos might have opened up the ace site here. A little bit weaker of a hold. No deadlock utility to support. No Cypher utility really either. So someone's got to step up, and Aussie Frosty tries to be that player. And again, here's that hesitation that we talked about. They backpedal back towards the B site, maybe because it's an easier smoke job here for Mini. But again, Joba is a back site, and they have been a threat before. There's 10 seconds left.
Oh, but the recon ball forces them outside a boathouse where moving is going to throw off their aim just enough. And unbelievable that Joba is still able to get that one, but this is a 2v3 where you're walking into the Hunter's Fury, forced out into their waiting arms, and OC Esports, one more player, one more to go. Carrot, all alone, by themselves, the weight of Ascent on their back. They got to walk through all of this post-plant utility, thorns at their feet, a player at logs, and they know this, a spike ticking away. And Germsy with a 4K has sent OC Esports with 13-9 victory on Ascent, and Zobi up map number 3.
Wow. I was excited to see the composition, even though, you know me, the notorious Ascent hater. And it was for good reason. Like, yes, we saw again that it requires a dominant first half because it does take a little bit of time to kind of figure out how your opponent's going to play their defense in conjunction to yours. And again, I think in my mind as well, I don't think this kind of composition would work in like VCT level pro play because it does largely hinge on your opponent making mistakes, right? Like the key rounds where I was seeing, right, like I think them win was like, oh, they picked off Aussie Frosty first, overextending past deadlock utility tree, or they slipped in through the cracks mid after there wasn't a trap wire, like Mini almost was able to do on an Aussie Frosty. And so again, like this composition itself doesn't feel like it's the key to success. I mean, like I said, they needed very special conditions to win, like ultimates, like the Annihilation for the entry, like the Killjoy ult for a fake. But I did really like how they were using, I think, some of the substitutions. Like I said, the sensor placement, the flash placement of the steel rose in substitution for a secondary initiator. So I do still think that the Vice Deadlock is very viable here on Ascent. But aside from that, I mean, they also are the ones that won pretty dominantly, I would say. I mean, the 9-3, yes, it was a 13-9 finally to close things out, but again, if it gets you to bind, it gets you to bind, right, Sam?
It does indeed get you to bind, and it also gets us to take a look at some of the stats of our players. Aussie Frosty topping the TAMU leaderboard with 20 and 16 for First Bloods, but I think the player of the hour for this map of Ascent is none other than Mini, right? Bench pressing their way with a 27-18 KDA and 3 First Bloods for the Clove Extraordinaire, who in our mind, right, Zobi, is feeling that duelist role, where they are the hyper aggressive controller who's able to heal themselves as long as they're able to frag out. And in Mini's case, well, this was absolutely put forth in spectacular fashion. Not only that, the medal giving them so much value time and time again. It sets OC Esports for the success that they were looking for. It took time for them to make that happen, Zobi. It did get there, but time is on our side, and time is also something that we need to take a little bit for ourselves with this upcoming break, where we're going to find out afterwards who is going to take home the victory for tonight. Is it going to be OC Esports, or is it going to be TAMU Maroon on the map of Bind? Who knows? We'll be back after the break.
Seriously, did you just lose your meat stick?
Yeah.
Oh, no. There's something in there, dude. Just leave it.
Are you kidding me?
We'll just head to the house. Just leave it.
The hell with that.
Oh, yeah, there's something in there. Ah!
Want one?
Thank you.
It was worth it.
Oh, man, this is incredible.
Oh, wow.
Huh?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Hey, man, grab me a meat stick. I think I can reach it if I just a little more. Just let me go a little. I can't. Just a little more. I almost got it. Careful! Oh, God. No. Come on, just reach. Reach. Just grab my hand. I can't hold it. Grab my hand.
Give me the meat stick. This other hand's closer. The one with the stick is... Oh. What am I supposed to say?
It doesn't matter. He's dead. He ain't listening to you anyway.
I'm hungry.
No. Put it away. I can't put it. Oh, crap. Just reach in. You gotta pull it. Just grab it. Just take it out of his hand. What do you mean you can't?
He won't let go.
What do you mean he won't let go? He's dead.
Help me. Get in there. No, just hold on.
Make him let go of it. No, I got you. Just go in for a hug. Go and get on in there. It's a bad loss. Yeah, hug him up. Just reach. Hug him up.
He's breathing.
I think it's on the other side.
Go.
I can't do it.
Help me, Lord. Help me get over this loss.
I can't breathe.
Hey, I can't breathe. I'm so upset. I can't breathe. Stop. You knock on wood so they go to heaven. It's like a lucky. Hey, get the stick.
Yeah.
Hey, did you get the meat stick?
Yeah, I got it.
Hey, just hold tight for a second. They're moving the casket. Just hold tight.
Yeah, it's no worries. I got it.
Oh, what an awesome day for a pump, dude.
Yeah, I gotta take it easy. Doc says if I exert myself, I will die.
You overexert yourself, you will die.
I'll tell you what, you finish the workout, all these could be yours. That looks good. A little bit of honey ham for the ham. Get after it, and that's your, nope, get after it, and that's your treat. Stay, do the exercise, do the work, then you get the reward. That's how this works, man. You gotta give it max effort, maximum effort. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Big hams. Make it work, those hams. Work 'em. Putting in the work. Yeah, baby. Yes. This is a spicy workout. Gotta make it worth it. Building the beef and bringing home the bacon, baby. I'm loving it. Teriyaki is just about within your reach. Come on, get you some. Come on. Ooh, ooh. Maximum effort. Maximum effort. You're there. You're almost there.
That's so worth it.
I can't believe it. We get to spend one more map together, everyone, here on week number 7 of NECC. Valorant OC Esports versus TAMU Maroon is going the distance. But the sands of Bind is where one of our teams are going to emerge the victor or be buried by it, Zobi.
For sure, and very different storylines here as well for these two squads as well. This is the first appearance or debut of Bind for OC Esports Eagles versus, I want to say, one of the pioneers in shifting the meta to a deadlock pick here perhaps on Bind came out of TAMU, or rather the missing player, Nabber, from this squad. But we got to see a taste of the Joba substitution over on Ascent, and they definitely did their job. They played it just as well, so I'm expecting no difference here. But then again, the question looms as to what composition are we going to get cooked up here? Maybe another crazy one by the side of OC Esports Eagles. And then also for TAMU, Sam, they have a tendency where if they lose their map 2 closely, they dominate map 3. So is that what we're also going to see here?
I mean, you feel like it's going to be leaning in that direction, right? Especially for TAMU Maroon, where they're so comfortable on this map of Bind. We see them play it quite a many times, and quite a many times successfully push their way through it. And that's where you talk about the dominance that we could get from TAMU, right? OC Esports, it hasn't been touched. It's uncharted territory for us, for them, for everyone. And so there's the element of, okay, maybe they can surprise us all. They can send that shock factor. Or it's the element of TAMU Maroon is just so practiced. They're so well thought out when it comes to the map of Bind, even when they're missing their primary deadlock of Nabber. It does not matter.
Well, I do know that our players are rearing and ready to go, and I was promised we would get into the game pretty quickly here, so let's go ahead and speed into our agent select to see what the OC debut composition is and see if there's any changes here out of the side of TAMU. This is interesting. They abandoned the deadlock pick here. Mainly probably because Carrot, like I said, is confident on the Cypher on the Killjoy. Maybe they weren't confident on the Viper flex. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and I think for when you talk about deadlock on this map, and Joba, don't get me wrong, did a phenomenal job on Ascent, but it wasn't the way that Nabber plays the deadlock, right? Nabber played the deadlock aggressively, right? The nets were so on point, the wall lineups, right? You don't think about that very often, but Nabber knew exactly where the wall needed to be in order to gain the deadlock utility that needed to be given towards the backup for TAMU to find their victories time and time again. And that's also where I think had Nabber been there, it could have been a completely a bit more of a different story on Ascent, but that's neither here nor there. The TAMU Maroon pick, I think, is mostly just, like you said, we're going to safety, we're giving the Cypher up, and hopefully able to gain some success off of that. Meanwhile, for the side of OC Esports, it's kind of what we got from them from Sunset, sans, right, we're bringing in the Sky pick.
Yeah, I think the two things that are interesting to me, I think out of the composition here for OC Esports Eagle, is you don't normally see the neon. I feel like on Bind, to be honest. I know they've been buffed, obviously, but I feel like that's a map that has kind of withstood it a little bit, other than your ranked lobbies, where this Raze has been superior. You once in a while still see the Yoder pick. So I'm curious to see how that's going to function as well, because I feel like it's not like there's not a lot of open space on this map for you to kind of like slide as effectively and make the most of it. Maybe if you get some craziness over towards the A, but you don't get that same kind of verticality, like, you know, satcheling of a truck, etc. But aside from that, I think we didn't point out what stuck out kind of like a sore thumb, which was that Clove pick, right? Because for me, right, I look at that Brimstone and I see, okay, great post-plant potential. I look at that Viper pick and I'm like, okay, Pseudo Sentinel, hold down the site with that toxic screen. When I look at the Clove, I don't see it really kind of strengthening any, like, loose ends per se for the composition for OC Sports Eagles. It feels like it's just kind of doubling down on, okay, we are aggressive, but they're starting on the defense, so it's a little jarring.
Yeah, they're starting off on the defense, but they may be looking towards that aggressiveness yet again. Mini is going to get a walloping of their own, but ekes away with half of their HP gone. But they're alive. They're still able to take the fight back to TAMU if they need to. The smoke good enough to slow them down for the moment. Bring out the boom bot. Pablo's in this dicey situation where they're going to do a quick jump peek with a slide, get out in the nick of time, a relay bolt, as Joba is just built diff. Joba, give it up for Joba here. Regrowth back up to full health. You're done. You go back in the TP. Life is good.
Ooh, and they're going around the globe here on a tour to showcase how they are going to dominate OC Esports Eagles on this last map, right? Like I said, they walloped Hoosiers 13-1 to close out their last week's series. They're looking to try to replicate that here. Mini, the last victim in the flawless tirade of a pistol round. And while we were glazing Joba, I needed to mention that this is the first map, right, where they're on the pick that they normally play with the TAMU squad, right? The Breach wasn't normal. That's the Nabber pick. The Deadlock was the Nabber pick. Now, I mean, it's not the Sentinel we like to see, but it's still something they're the most experienced on.
Yeah, we're talking about those ingredients from earlier, the elements of success. Texas A&M Maroon, you're seeing those elements at the forefront. That felt precise, that felt practiced, that felt like they knew exactly what they needed to. Whereas for OC Esports, a little bit all over the place. They pushed out from Hookah to go and maybe play for the flank, maybe play for them had they gone inside the TP. But the massive amount of utility that was dumped towards them, there was just nothing that OC Esports could have done on the back foot. And even more so, losing out your Neon in the very early moments, even when you catch Joba inside of the relay bolt, it all falls apart. And Joba's going to do it again with the first blood, 2 times in a row, leave behind a parting present of a snake bite, and just push onto the A site because you realize from the footsteps how many players are there.
Flank the flankers! They're going to push through shower here, really late on. Carrot as well, going to try and apply this additional pressure, so it's almost a pinch play, but it really is just going to be trades. Probably not going to really have much to collect off of as well. Their position's known. It's going to be a rough 1v4, especially when you can scale up with the better weapon using your cage. Would say better weapon, but it's even across the board. And the outcome goes the way of TAMU here. Very clean second round conversion, which again sets them up for prolonged success.
Yeah, I like the idea from OC Esports, right? Just push out, see if maybe you can catch a player unawares, if they're going to rotate through showers. But having that point of contact be Joba, of all players, is just so sad. And then you try to go further beyond that and eventually do get rid of them. But at that point, your spike is planted. You're having to play into their hands where they want you to. And yeah, TAMU Maroon skirts by pretty cleanly. And that's not even to talk about that Joba really had nothing to lose. It was just Ghost. And boom, they're right back into the game, going into the bonus round with a Phantom.
Yeah, and these rounds have been fairly quick as well here, Sam. So, of course, we gotta take a break, take a breather here with a little bit of tech pause, you know? It's map 3.
Top off the
High
G
stakes,
fuel.
right? Yeah. last match of the regular stage here, even if the results may not affect the outcome. But aside from that, I think this is a good chance, like I said, OC Esports Eagles They want to just kind of... It'd be nice to see our first kind of standard economy flow, right? Like, we haven't seen that really out of any of these games, right? We had a Thrifty. We've had the dominant kind of 6-0. I think the closest we've gotten was just a really dominant second round that TAMU was still able to win, and that was over on Ascent. But aside from that... Whew. Look at this bonus. It is scary here for TAMU. Like the chances at a third round.
Yeah, this is demonic that TAMU is giving us. Aussie Frosty caught inside of the relay bolt, but no one pushed out. And so they kind of just sit there for a moment, swing through the Spectre. You're just dealing damage at this point. They just has to pop off with the Sheriff, get themselves a combat stem 2, pop the flash inside of there. But guess what? Pablo's gonna hang out inside of the fast lane before they push forward and go into the face of TAMU, where you're looking at Joba, looking at Carrot. They may have all of these fancy weapons, they may have all of this fancy firepower, but so does OC Esports. Joba with the double kill. Say it ain't so, but it is. Maybe at this point, though, you gotta fight back and get the spike that's inside a shower, Zobi.
Yeah, I was about to say the players with weapons didn't get the chance to strike. Jobo was one of them with the Phantom. They've now relinquished their sword. Yeah, this is... I just triggered discipline, hopefully at its finest. Joba, last standing 14 HP. Not going to give any rifles away. I like this play from Joba. 30 seconds left. The last place you're going to expect is behind you when the spike is in showers. The timing of the jump peaks might not line up. There it is. Mini, the Spidey sends the switch. And there it is, first round on the board for OC Esports Eagles, and I willed normalness into existence here.
Yeah, I mean, for Mini, right, you lose sight of where this pesky Viper has a snake in the grass, and the alarm bells start ringing. You've been jump peeking a couple of times, so yeah, just peek behind you for a quick second, and boom, there they are. And I mean, for the most part here from OC Esports, a perfectly well-played round, other than Joba getting that fortunate double kill towards the end of it. You got aggressive inside of showers, you denied space, you forced them to play around with the weapons that they have in hand, and tear them apart piece by piece, where, yeah, you pop out a quick flashbang and see a good... You didn't see anything off the back of the smoke, but you know that someone is coming up B long.
Yep. It's kind of the stock standard, your Sky. Trying to set up your duelists if they want to swing. I like the late reflash here, probably to deny the space when you expect it to scale up after your own flash didn't see anything, or... And there is going to be kind of this cacophony of Bombot, Trailblazer utility now completely nullified, right? They have no info, and they're still getting berated by bullets. Zen is insane! Anchoring down Garden, showing why they're the master of... I'm gonna call them plants, I guess.
Oh, Carrot. They're making a lot of noise inside of the smoke. All attentions had to be aware. All eyes are peeking towards Hookah. Invaders waiting for just the right moment, but you give Carrot an inch. They're going to take that mile, but how many more miles can they run? They got to do 3 more. And that's a tall order for any player. The smokes are going to come up. The second they peek through, Pablo is going to be able to see them. Take a couple of pot shots with the Guardian. Carrot's at 20 HP. They got to go for the spike. They got to win a 1v3. With 24 seconds left, yeah, the executive decision being called. Save that weapon and look for better opportunities in the upcoming rounds.
I would have been running shower, see if there was an old Torb left over from OC Sports Eagles, right? You haven't planted, but not time to traverse the desert. It's just tucking away safely here in attacker spawn. Exactly where the squad's going to be reset to here. Now that OC Esports Eagles has tied us up 2-2. And I'm starting to see, I think, like, the shape of this composition and how it functions, at least on the defensive half. It's not too terribly different. I think, like, when I talked about, like, I was in the pre-show, I was like, okay, this Neon's kind of weird to me compared to, like, a Yoru. But they're playing it very similarly, right? Like, the Neon's just in shower, which is typically what you do. It's that fast rotatability like a Gate Crash provides. So I've been swayed there. And everything else is kind of just pretty much standard here, right? We haven't really gotten to see, I think, at least this half, we won't see the Clove differential in my mind, just because, again, I talked about post-plant perspective with what a Viper and a Brimstone can bring, but regardless, they're off to a great start. We're tied here 2-2, and this is shaping up to be a competitive last map to close out the series.
I mean, this entire series has just been built off the back of how much can we make the audience's hearts race with every single tied moment, every single round that comes down to the 1v1. It's tough goings for the moment here, but it's slowly gonna piece forward inches on this A main. They eventually do get rid of the camera. Vader's gonna put up a cage, but they gotta be careful inside of lamps, because you've taken just enough chip damage that Joba is soaring from that stinger. The spike is gonna be planted, and now gotta play inside the Viper's pit, but Joba, they tried to go out, back off towards lamps, but Jermsy saw them dip back into it, and what advantage you could have gained with that Viper's pit has been ripped away. Mini on the flip side, though, a little bit of chip damage from the orbital strike. The 4v4. Make that 3.
There we go.
Okay.
I mean, I can't. OC Esports Eagles just. I think they're just quirky. That's the best definition of this squad, and it's working. Same, just helicoptering in, mini perfect as these TAMU Maroon members are trying to track them through the sky effortlessly. And I was about to dive into my analysis where I'm like, look, I was right. The Clove pick isn't as strong as the Brimstone in a post plant, because that orbital strike was beautiful, right? Like you mentioned, right? Joba gets overwhelmed, that ult drops. You realize there's a whole army of players trooping at you through shore. Yeah, drop the orbital strike, delay the timer. And even that is not enough to bail out TAMU Maroon here. And OC Esports Eagles claim the lead back. It's another pivotal rifle round, because if you lose this, OC is going to be leading by like 3 rounds at least.
I'm just shocked that Jermsy was able to fly in and got away with no one doing anything against them. And that's kind of what we saw from Sunset as well with Pablo's Neon, is that Texas A&M, they kind of get locked in on the targets that they have in front. Yeah, it's just very painful. But now we're going to see if OC Esports is able to continue to bring pain, or if Jermsy is going to showstop their way through. No, instead, Texas A&M Maroon is just going to go to the TP, dodge the showstopper, try to fight Pablo through showers. Yet again, the relay bolt's going to fire on top of it. Vader may have saw their compatriot fall, but they are more than ready to pick up the pieces and prevent showers from going any further than that. Spike is still going to be planted, but it is a 3v4 that TAMU needs to win. They've delayed the spike plant just for a second longer.
30 seconds. They're trying to flip the script before they hit that starring scene, and unfortunately the trades are just too clean for the supporting actors. OC Sports Eagles said that was a pivotal round, and they win it out beautifully again, pinpointing rotations, denying state control. And TAMU, like you said, I like the decision to fight before going for the plant, but again, FPS at the end of the day. And I'm still just like laughing in the background at that boom bot. Like, it goes through the TP while we're seeing KHS dog. And also Frosty is like expecting maybe them to push, expecting to have a solo TP. So they're right next to them. They both get pinged down so that we get to see Vader pop off like they do. Like once in a while they give up a short, and that's like the only other weakness in this defense right now in my mind here. Like, it's really, really clean right now.
Again, Sky Flash detects the players coming up towards B main, and if you're OC Esports, you know that it's not going to be just one player from TAMU. KHS is on the other side of this cage, but they walk through that, they go into, Vader. Now that's just a little dirty.
Whoa.
Wait a minute. KHS ain't done just yet. They still have a lot to say about this tumultuous moment inside of Hookah. Both players have exchanged warning shots against each other. One at 2 HP, the other at 11. Neither side done just yet. KHS is going to give us a moment with the Seekers to push themselves forward. Slow down relay bolt. It's going to stop the dog from going too far into lamps. Pablo gets out just in the nick of time. The quick sprint towards safety, but barely any firepower, any ammo inside of that gun. As we see Mini step into back to life. Carrot, clean headshot, stops that. No Clove to worry about here. The spike still needs to be planted, where Heavy Brimstone walking through the spawn of the opposing
The
side.
Cypher Utils there. They're gonna get all the info they need on the spike cam before it gets destroyed. They know where plant is. They're gonna know where being chilling repositions to safely remove this dart. And the trap wires are also lethal here. Carrot cannot swing. Now they know. Great molly, but unfortunately a little cockeyed. And as a result, there's gonna be a little gap to funnel out of Hookah through. This point is a difficult crossfire.
It is, right? Being chilling. May have been seen, may have been spotted, may have been caught inside of a trip. But they still win these. So does Texas A&M Maroon, stopping the hemorrhaging that's been happening to them for the past 4 rounds.
Number one, really nice late round call. If Job was the one that called that there to head to the B site once you know there's a TP, right? Again, I talked about how Ascent chalked up to, I think, TAMU's Maroon's mistakes being compounded upon, taken advantage of. So they're not letting anything slip through here, hopefully. And also, you mentioned it prior, KHS, right? Like, ending that duel early. They had so much util to help with that A site take that isn't previously there. It's not over just yet. 4-3 here, TAMU. Bouncing back off of that Pseudo Thrifty. Everything's close, but OC Esports Eagles, they have Seekers, they have Overdrive.
Oh, that Joba. Kind of a next level play that could have been insane with landing those shots, but you have so many players going up against you. Vader does it again, right? Aussie Frosty thought they were going to be hiding in one corner, but they're actually on the box. The manipulation tactics that they continue to give us is next level. Zin, how do you do that? How do you do that? You get pushed out by the orbital strike and you get 2 frags, Zobi? What? What?
I mean, this map, this defense, it's the first time we're seeing OC Esports Eagles in NECC play Bind. And they look like this is their main map pick, for crying out loud right now. Like, Vader feels so confident in their setups, their timings. I mean, now they're just jumping, bobbing, and weaving here to try and give the kill away. You know, Carrot has a proclivity to save in these kind of clutch situations. They're trying to hunt them down this time, vent that. That's exactly what they're going to do. Hit the shot so hard that you're going to crash the entire game.
I can't
and
believe
the
it,
stream.
Zobi. I can't believe it. There's been some weird decision making from, it feels like, TAMU Maroon. Right, you have Joba doing the lurking Viper wall up on A site,
That's
right?
normal.
And then they drop the wall, and on the other side is so many other players. It feels like right now TAMU is in this weird position where they're thinking they can win out in ones, they're defaulting around the map and seeing if maybe they can get a pick off here. We saw that with Aussie Frosty inside of Hookah. They're leaving these players by themselves to obtain a victory where they just have not been able to do it. And that's not even to mention what the Zin 2K that happened on the site itself, right? They stay inside of the orbital strike. They're confident enough to get the first frag there. Then they dip out. They survive that. And then they get the kill on the Brimstone that dared to step foot on their site. It has just been a work of art from OC Esports so far on Bind. And if this is their debut, well, goodness gracious, it is phenomenal.
Apparently we have missed an even crazier round, Sam, amidst the little crash. Come on, you really had to drop Carrot that hard that it exploded the stream. But I think what stands out to me from that round is also just Vader's stability there again, because you mentioned the Joba lurk over towards A. Like, yes, they fall really early, but they got confirmation that there's 3 players short. So again, like, you know that the B site's a weak point. They rotate really quick, which again we've seen as an OC weak point, is those rotations as soon as they get information thrown back to them. And just Vader holding on long enough for those rotations, for the Zen pop-off moment, everything. But there's that really insane.
Yeah, because Zobi, we're looking at a 5v4, right? 5-4 scoreline here. Germzy pushed up on the main site. It's back and forth, but Carrot has a double kill, and we're being told a being chilling 1v4 happened in the previous round, Zobi, and I'm crying. I want to see that. I want to see it so bad.
What we can do. Clipping software may save us as of yet, but for now we get to see the Joba pop-off moment. And instead, talked about Vader, the stability they brought to win out the last round we saw at least on stream. See if they can do it again here. Like this again. Buddy system, don't make any mistakes. You don't have to. The reload. Give away unintended information. Joe, but you got lineups. Is that what you're doing here?
There's gotta be something going on right in their mind. But you leave them behind for far too long. The buddy system falls apart, Zobi. And Vader gonna go for the half defuse. They might actually just be sticking this. Joba has no earth. These kind of plays that we're getting from OC Esports, where you think that everything is done, where they're gonna be doing one, it's actually another. And Joba was caught completely off guard the second the cage fell. And Vader is the cipher that did. OC Esports has a first half secured.
Like, I'm sorry. Of all the angles you hold when the cage is dropping, you go like a third of the way through the window onto Joba's skull? Like, that's even more insane than the read, like, Pablo got through the smoke on Sunset. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. 6-4 here. OC confirmed at least a tied half, and I don't think they're stopping anytime soon. Both dual ults online. They've kind of repaired what I said was the vulnerability over towards short. Now you know they funneled through off the wall. The trap bar destroyed. How do they kind of receive now the back site control? How do they address this?
That's a good question. Oh, Carrot dips inside fast enough. They slowed down by the sky flash, but eventually the shocking conclusion comes to fruition. A 5v3 where Texas A&M Maroon is just falling like pieces on a chessboard. Pablo doesn't need to see anything. Pablo is an exceptional and outstanding and extraordinary Neon. We give them an ult. Well, they give flawless rounds for OC Esports.
And a lead at the half as well. They only needed to use one, so the showstopper gonna be the other. From credit the situation. Whew. It's just
Okay.
I'm speechless from this match. Like, from the comp we saw on Ascent to the first time debut of OC Esports on Vine. Like, it's interesting to see Texas A&M Maroon, right? Without Nabber, right? Playing more traditional Valorant. Like, they require that aggressive deadlock that we mentioned here. Because that's what would thwart so much of this. And it's just not happening. Here we go.
So Austin, Germsy is just having so much fun with that showstopper over and over again. Fortunately, KHS has the trade-off going on here, but man, I mean, Austin Frosty popped themselves up with the satchel into the air, and that was just enough of a reason for Germsy to fly in with a showstopper of their own. The numbers are evened out, but again, we're seeing the difficulties that TAMU has with pushing past showers, pushing past A main, where OC Esports is okay with giving it up, Zobi, because they've been so phenomenal at getting it back.
Curious to see where Big Chilling and the Soul Read will lead the orbital strike. Impressive how they've gotten it online so much this half as well. What is that, the third? But now, history repeats itself. Carrot alone and dealt with outside of showers. And it's just, again, the slow encroachment using this wall. And OC letting them.
Because you don't care. You're under no precognition that things are out of your hands just yet. Precognition may give way to some insanity going on here. Vader did it just a little bit too far to the left. But the good news is Zin has their teammates back. Being chillin', yeah, they're doing a quick ping of the spike so that way they draw out the orbital strike.
Money!
This poor Brimstone has to win out a 1v2. OC Esports clearing their way inside of lamps. They had the one, but Vader, abusing the numbers advantage to the extreme, has given OC Esports Eagles this first half 8-4.
Wow. And I mean, this is the double duelist comp, and now they're on their favorite side. And they have a Clove. Like, I mentioned some of my hesitations, right, for the post plant, but it feels like Texas A&M Maroon shutting down a little bit, right? Like, you talked about the satchel maybe giving away where Austin was. I think they just really thought that the Viper's snakebite was enough to fend off the rocket, to not have them push through in the link. And aside from that, this pistol, if they don't win it, I've talked about how TAMU's good at resetting mental at the half. This could be over before it even gets kicked off. I mean, OC feels so confident in every move they're making. And I talked about how on the attack half, their rotations are what can be a little bit slower. And I don't even think that's going to be a problem here on Bind.
No, I don't think it is either, because the slower nature, right, we've been harping on it a lot, but it's worked a fair number of times for OC Esports that it really shakes Texas A&M Maroon to their core just by practically doing nothing most of the time. We may be seeing something interesting here from Pablo. They are the initial point of contact, but they just saw the one player. 2 more are still sneaking up towards that flank, but you have Cypher Trips, you have cams up, so they're not under that veil of disguise for far too long. Fortunately for 4 Mini, blinded by their Sky, Joba blown up into Kingdom Come! Legs taken out from underneath them, and OC Esports, they get the pick off here, but they don't want to play into the Cypher. Dip into Showers, dip into hopefully taking on this site here, where Pablo, they're lurking around for so long, may have given them something. The 3v3, Spike still taking some time to be planted, but should get there eventually.
And great info, though. They know 2 are short. Not quite sure about the KHS off Splinter, but with Bing Chilling alone, Carrot alone, a lot of ways this round could go. The 2v2, but HP favoring OC.
Wow.
But the right click from afar is nutty. Mini doing the best they can with the frenzy in hand, but they take too long on the Carrot. Yep, they would have been pinched if Carrot didn't win it out. Right, 3 kills on the round. Said it, that pistol would have meant everything for TAMU. And it surely has. 8-5 here. A second lease on life and chance with this buy to get right back into bind.
Yeah, Pablo had gotten rid of the Sky or the Brimstone when they were coming back up through towards A, right? That could have been that could have given them so much more value and maybe even the round 1 there. But a couple of misplaced shots really fell apart for them. And also to give it to Carrot, right? A couple of right clicks was all it took for them to deny the plant. And that's also too where we saw the Sky planting in the position they did. There was no one to save them had they had fallen, had they had someone else there, could have traded out Carrot, but they were by themselves. It forced the rest of the players to come over and congeal towards trying to pick up that spike or win something there. But Bing Chilling gets the 1, but falters on the second kill to a Zen Classic.
Oh, almost a similar outcome to KHS with the Spectre over towards Fountain, but stay alive here. I like the grouping for OC here, right? It's Nico, take the fights together. That's exactly what they're gonna do, but unfortunately, 2 Spectres side by side. Lowest position unknown. Fancy footwork Spectre collected. This is when your neon running gun accuracy shouldn't be good to go. It's up against 2 who have mastered that art from long ago. Out of bullets, 4 HP left, and you are out of angles. Carrot again, the closer for Texas A&M Maroon.
Yeah, but not a bad round for OC Esports. You took away 3 weapons, got rid of the Bing Chillin' Judge, and I believe a couple of Spectres on top of that. So all in all, a relatively decent position for them to be in. It's still seeing, you know, Texas A&M driving up with a Vandal, pulling up with a Vandal we're seeing from KHS. But in all practicality, OC Esports should be looking at denying the bonus round with, I would say, relative something, not ease, but it's not going to be that. Especially, well, maybe relative ease if you're able to do that.
Okay. And this is nice, because I feel like we saw last half, right? We needed 2-player Showers for OC Esports Eagles to hold on. And Austy Frosty, rough first half. Can't cut it any straighter than that. So the fact that they've been able to kind of shut down Showers altogether here. Eventually, though, they are going to run out of utility, so can't hold down that frontier any longer. They lose a player in the process as well. So now the re-clear begins. And this is OC Esports Eagles, not giving up, just waiting, looking for their opportunity to strike similar to how they played Ascent. Joba, this could be good.
Could be good. And if it's going to be Mini to be the one to push that also, right? They barely have any HP. So the trade could happen onto Joba so fast at the blink of an eye. Instead, you're going to leave it to Germsy. Yep, and that's the pain point that you're going to walk into when someone has a Bucky. And I would be a little shocked if they still want to try and push this against Joba with that Bucky, even though you have the numbers on your side. Good Metal's going to go over. They're going to try and fire through the walls. Aussie Frosty gets a 2K with a Spectre. Back it up for a second. Pull it away. Pull it away. What happened here? That faltered in the way that it did. And then Carrot's going to protect Aussie Frosty because they think they're alone at the crates. Texas A&M Maroon playing that so well and accomplishing the bonus that I said shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, the confidence may be going awry there for OC Sports Eagles, right? They're like, all right, we're the big dogs. We're going to go keep fighting into this A side. It's ours. And unfortunately, when you get a Bucky, you get great util. Aussie Frosty as well, playing off the contact. Very, very nicely done there. And And then you talked about the tradability of Jobo, right? Or what should have been, right? But the snake buy also just really clean to prevent that exact exchange. So 8 to 7, like you said, bonus that should not have been won. Goes their way, puts them 1 round away from tying things up here on Bind.
TAMU, 1 round away. I'm not gonna hit him with that curse, but it would be very surprising if it doesn't happen. The round conversion here. And OC Esports were, again, getting that demonstration of the slower pace nature they like to take on their attack rounds, even when having double duelists. They want to get as much information as they possibly can. They want to give as much time for their lurkers to get something. But that was also in the previous round, right? You had your Sky on that B lurk for so long. Imagine had they had them there to, say, flash out of showers where Joba was hanging out. And it's that kind of disconnect that we're seeing from these players on these rounds that hurts them in a lot of ways. But KHS is not hurting even when they've been hit with a medal for over half of their HP. Nah, they're gonna be just fine using nothing but a shorty.
All right, Joba, your time to shine. No players are filtering in from all angles, all facets of the earth. There it is, the vulnerability just enough.
Ooh.
But Mini with the Deagle, 2 kills. And it's even better. Rotation, though, fastly gonna meet it here. Mini not able to get the plant down, looking for a gun, looking for anybody else to piece away. And unfortunately surrounded. Germsy left in the 1v3.
Yeah, Germsy left in the 1v3. A Marshall outdone by the KHS Sheriff. The blink of an eye, what was a good lead that OC Esports Eagles had, has been thrown in the bin by Texas A&M Maroon. And in these situations, yeah, OC Esports needs to call the timeout. It's a moment for them to recenter themselves, a moment for them to figure out what's not working on the attack for this team. And I gotta say, Zobi, right? We see them taking so long to push onto the site. We see them taking so long to do anything. This time around, they wanted to push a little bit faster. They put a medal inside of Lambs, but again, it's just not the capitalization of being able to take that space, gain that space, and get the trade-offs or the picks that they need to open the doors wide open. We saw the immediate pivot for them to go on to B. Sure, they didn't have the weapons or the firepower really to stop TAMU, but TAMU was also kind of in that weakened state as well, where they may have been able to deal a little bit more damage than what happened in that previous round.
For sure. And I feel like we've seen that when OC Esports Eagles tries to strong arm their way onto a site, which is what their composition should be good for, they get shut down really easily. And I think the only exceptions have been when we see Pablo step up. We saw like the ace over on Sunset. We've seen, their insane pop off around here. And now they've kind of cooled off a little bit. Yes, 10 assists, 10 kills, but still bottom of the leaderboard here. So I want to see them lead the charge, which is what they're doing. Really explosively through showers, but this round, the gamble stacked towards B. Nobody home. And it was a fake, but now they're realizing, wait a minute. There's no raise utility here. Nobody's countering this. And as a result, the regroup comes in, but it's met with the perfect rotation from TAMU as well.
Surely you don't leave Carrot unchecked inside of heaven. Texas A&M Maroon, they're just waltzing onto the site that had a grand majority of the players on it. That's not where the spike is, but now you've left the 2 remaining players to win the 2v5. And that's a tall order for any team.
Nice confirmation on Mini's position. Great medal. All this utility is trying to keep them at bay. And now Mini, right? That's a huge pick because they are not dead yet. Vader. it's literally deja vu from the trap wire on the defensive half. Sticking it, hoping that they can, play a game of chicken, and it might just work out. The toxic screen really allowing the escape for the Clove. The reswing should be good. They gotta stick it, and they can. Joba, KHS, there's no time.
There's no time. 2 players is all it took, and they get the entirety of TAMU. In no world conceivable should OC Esports have been able to win that 2v5, but they did just by drawing out the time. And I think at that very last moment, Zobi, you brought up the Viper toxic screen. that covered just enough of Mini to be able to get towards safety and force, right, TAMU to have to chase them down to get rid of them. That one little moment, that one little pivotal timing that happened there,
Yeah.
it hurts. It hurts.
And they were so worried about the Clove ult as well that I think the distraction kept Vader alive as well, right? Like, they should have been able to, like, you know, finish him. Kind of like, like we're in a fighting game kind of style because of how low they were from that spray down, the wallbang that had happened. And just does not work out. And after what was a beautiful round out of TAMU, I'm not gonna lie, like the A fake, the solo cypher, and the reflank, that was just chef's kiss. So whoever's the IGL for OC to call that rotate as well, hats off to them. But now it's an opposite kind of situation here. You see the cypher here, maybe trying to bait that it's just another cypher stack when it's really just kind of more standardized. Sky faking a solo A hit here for OC when the spike is actually headed towards B off the overdrive.
Yeah, KHS is able to get out of dodge very fast. And you're seeing Pablo with unlimited power. Taking a couple of, you can't say pot shots now. It's lightning bolts, I guess, through the Viper's smoke screen. But Zin on top of the box. Looking all over the place, but not at the right timing for them to survive through being chillin'. And backs to Joba. Not gonna do that again. This time around, Texas A&M Maroon knew how close they were to that previous round. They're making darn well sure that doesn't happen this go around.
All right, nice wallbang shots as well. Pablo 43 HP and a dream, but they are surrounded here. And as a result, TAMU Maroon, even when in rounds really closely, narrowly slip away, they bounce back, tie 9-9. The teammates at that, so everyone starting to pull their weight here. And I think Sam, I don't even know, like TAMU, ult's on their side now because I think a lot of them were utilized by OC the last time we saw them get around across the board. So this might be the time to finally kind of break the spell, you know? Like, there's no Ba, you have ults. We need to see, I think, like, after that opener, which kind of leveled the field after an 8-4 half, we got to see one of these teams find a shriek of consistency.
Yeah, the TAMU second half has been working out so brilliantly for them. I mean, right, you pull out a timeout from this team, but now OC is again, right, they want to go fast inside of showers, but stonewalled by Cypher cages. And the Sky Dog isn't going to gain too much information, right? There's still 3 players on this A site, 2 leaning over towards B, where you have Mini trying to push up and gain some of that lurk space. But really, what can you do here? You're using sheriffs. Your duelists are kind of in this weird position where they're wanting to entry, but they don't have enough information to be able to do anything off the back of that. And someone's been seen, at the very least, by the Sky Flash, so they know someone's coming here. This is a good way to kick things off, though. Vader grabbing that first blood onto Carrot.
KHS. Again, solo anchor here for B. Fall off, play off the Viper util. Joba at their side, like this, trying to have a focal point shifted over towards Hookah with Garden pacified by that snake bite. But again, we've seen it. The execs here are really clean. They know the timing down to a T of this Viper utility. Now that's no longer an option. Joba, at this point, I would be popping the Viper ult. But they're just going to weather the storm. Play around the fence lane, and the trade comes through. Those are weapons conceded now.
Yeah, and whatever uneven footing that OC Esports was on has been taken away. Aussie Frosty to your left, but okay. All right, but there's still time. They had to plant the spike, and they have just enough to do it. Less than a second, Zobi, and Bing Chilling has been seen by the North End, and they only have a judge to do this. The good news is the 2 players that are left alive have no HP, so they may be able to do this. The 1v2. Wait a minute. No, surely. They get right below you. Right there. Right below you. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
And I mean, I thought for a second Bing Chilling does DC, but they're waiting out the timer in spawn. And then they come back and have to clutch a 1v2 with a judge in hand. And really, just at the individual level for TAMU. Whew. Just the patience, like you mentioned before, we were harping on them on Ascent, which their comp was that fault. Sunset, it felt like a choice. And now it's a strength on Bind right now. TAMU just willingly giving them the utility. It's so pivotal to anchoring down these sites. So much so that they've gone for a major reshuffle. Brim over towards B, the Viper's Pit, the anchor over towards a short. I don't think the dog, I was gonna say, I didn't think it cleared the sky, but apparently in the peripheral it does. So they use all that utility to flush them out. I'm surprised if they don't follow up on this.
Yeah, it's being slowed down by the Molly, right? Your Sky goes inside of the TP to save themselves, and you exchange the Sky for, right, the Raze that's coming back to reinforce the B site that has been hit time and time again. There's a lot of players here. The smokes are gonna go down rather, and you're looking in 20 different directions where finally we're seeing TAMU and Maroon playing at their best, flawlessly taking the 10th round. And these two teams, Obi, are exchanging blow for blow on the final map of the evening.
Final match of playoffs, or before playoffs as well, so we wouldn't want to have it any other way. Whew. And again, I was doing my research for this match. I was like, I can't tell if this is going to be kind of blow for blow or if TAMU is going to come in and dominate. I surely have gotten my answer. 10-10. Every time I look at OC, they somehow don't have a bye, but then they somehow win the round, Sam. Just, each of these teams are winning ecos they have no reason to. And even this round, look at the Trailblazer use. It allows Pablo to sneak in unimpeded, but Frosty from bench across the other side of the site. It's just, they're matching each other beautifully.
Wazin had utility out walking through the Cypher cage. A second flawless round in a row, Zobi. And TAMU Maroon just needs the 2 more rounds to win Bind, to win the series. And OC Esports realizes that they need to call a timeout here, right? They need to get everyone on the same page. You are so close to that victory. You are so close to taking down one of the titans, the champions of CVAL. You need everything, all of your ducks in a row, all of them in an order. Otherwise, you're going to be taking home another loss.
And I mean, I think the conversion rate's been positive for OC this series on these timeouts, right? TAMU has not taken a single one.
No.
It's all been OC. And my only hesitation here is like, yes, this is a good time for a timeout, but TAMU, like, they've also been using these timeouts to make great adjustments in the later stages. So the fact that they are, like you mentioned, this close to closing things out, a little nerve-wracking, but aside from that, your OC Esports Eagles, that was kind of a half investment that got dominated by Texas A&M Maroon with that flawless. Not sure what the eco situation is going to look like. You don't have these swing ultimates that we saw kind of save you, right? In other rounds, other maps. Like, you're 1 off from Jersey or 2 off from Pablo. Do you focal, like, point that win con? Like, do you farm orbs? Pablo, we saw them with the Bucky. They tried to dive into U-Haul, and it did not work. So they're going to replicate that in Shower, where there's going to be a nade, where there's going to be a Cypher?
Yeah, again, we have them going fast. Ignore the utility, but Pablo, they couldn't get out. Thankfully,
Wow.
we're going to see Germsy have to don the cape. Showstopper quick enough in time, but to be, oh my God! Backs against the wall, Zobi. And what does Germsy do? Win it all in Showers.
Come on, Germsy. Just go get your ace. You know Joe was a B player. Again, bro, they're so, like, yeah, their play style just screams humbleness. Like, they're not, like, they just are so respectful of
You
the
have to
ability
be.
for Joba to clutch this out. Like,
You have to be. Joba's right there. And they found them. The last player. But Joba can still win this. This is still in the territory of winning for Texas A&M Maroon. They're having the high-low. They come out for the 1. But they don't know where Mini is. And that's unawareness. Catching them by surprise. Again, Zobi, it is blow for blow. Tit for tat. The OC Esports. It's 11-11. The timeout yet again coming in clutch for this team.
you say the timeout coming in clutch? Nah, that's Germsy. Like, that was not part of the plan. What do you mean? You lost your Showers fight. A beautiful pinch play for TAMU, and Germany just comes out and does that. Like, I was about to, like, my whole spiel was gonna be beautiful coordination between Osti and Carrot and the utility, and now it's Germany 4K. And you saw them, they didn't reload. Like, yes, they were reeling themselves in, they were probably, like, jumping, like, I want to go get my ace, but I'm gonna reel it back, and that's why they didn't reload. They're like, one mag ace. But it's denied, and you still have Mini, again, the superstar from the last map, to clutch it out, to tie things 11-11. Or, like you said, I wish what you thought would have been needed to win up against the CVAL champs, but OC Esports Eagles, now also 2 rounds away from that becoming a reality.
And that's what's beautiful about this team too, right? So because if they didn't have that respect for Joba, it may have fallen apart, but they were also kind of giving away the ones too. So a lot of different conversations could be had about what happened there, but at the end of the day, they still win. It is still difficult. They had to push through this. Joba towards the backside. Oh, Germsy has been unlocked. Mini online too. The 3v2 that needs to be won. Aussie Frosty feeling confident enough to be able to peek out through on the other side. Now you've left Carrot, the poor Cypher. And this is actually good too, right? Mini's alive. They're just wasting away the time for their own death to come to fruition. Because look at Carrot, they're still in their spawn.
You gonna go for it? Wait, but they just prime delivered a corpse for the neural theft. If Carrot decides to go for this, right? They've been kind of that player left to save time and time again. They could be the hero, especially if they are gonna locate, hopefully, Vader. And that's where Germsy, again, they know when to fall off. They know when to instead just play for the win con, play for the round.
Oh, that's
a zero exception. Yep, beautiful spy cam. It's over.
Yeah, there's no hope that could have been happening there. And who better to bring OC Esports into match and series point than Germsy themselves? This race has been kind of quiet, right, Zobi? Going into the second half, has done what they do best and has exploded with territorial force. This team just needs the final round, and the only hope now for TAMU is to bring us into overtime.
I mean, like you said, we've been going tit for tat. Like, it's flawless here, flawless there, eco here, eco there. So I am not counting anything out. Like, sometimes the calling is near perfection from TAMU, and sometimes just heroic plays from players like Mini, players from like Germsy, completely piece that apart for TAMU. It's just... yeah, and you can tell how nervous OC even is, right? Like, this deep into spawn, expecting some innovation from TAMU, some Austy Frosty play to put them back on the map, like you said, after having a quiet start. Cinching OT for your team would definitely be a statement to come back into.
Yeah, I
there
mean,
it is.
Look how far back they're using this utility, and what we've seen Pablo running into showers, they're not doing it this time. Giving an opportunity here to pick up Seekers, seen by the dog, but again, it's back to the OC Esports Classic where they're just taking every single precious second like it's water in the desert.
They have the overdrive. They had the Seekers, like you mentioned. I think they're just resetting up for an ace split here. And that's when both are going to pop simultaneously. Seekers, overdrive. There it is. Check the boxes. See if it gets you the round. Austy Frosty early on the showstopper. 0 effect. And now it all relies on the Cypher util.
You're over on the other side. Aussie Frosty still alive, but they're being run down. They still get the kill. And then they come through. Joba donning the cape. And now you've left one player, Germsy, to have to try and get this round done. But Texas A&M Maroon, it's not done yet. We are now in overtime, Zobi.
Like, again, beautiful calling from OC Sports Eagles. And then just Aussie Frosty gets a 2-piece. He had no reason winning when Pablo's staring you down with a laser beam and there's 2 other players funneling into U-Haul. And then Joba just, fearlessly says, I got your back, Austy Frosty, and also fights in when you know that kind of risk can send you right out of this best of 3. And they just commit. They lock in, they sink their teeth in when it needs to be. Like the Huskies that they are, and now they've gone sledding into the OT. A chance to wrestle back the series.
Oh boy. Okay. All right. I don't think we expected to be in this position, Zobi. Not for bind. Not in overtime. And I'm getting the feeling, too, that Texas A&M wasn't feeling that themselves. Mini spotted inside of Hookah. And so for the first time in a very long time, you're feeling confident about going inside of there. And honestly, Frosty gets to survive entering inside of Hookah. But can they follow through with the rest of it? Not when you've been meddled with for just a second bit longer here. And that's going to be good enough to say, for TAMU, alarm bells ringing. We don't want to do B. Let's try hit A. Or rotate and maybe peek apart B through garden.
Ooh. Do you have the utility to clear out this corner? Answer's no. Contact play. Zen showing respect. You can concede that space. Backside just gonna try and hold on here. Beautiful timing on the swing from Jermsy.
My God.
Beautiful jitter as well. Mini.
It's just, it's players having to exceed all expectations, and that is exactly what we're getting, Zobi. The spike is still gonna find its home on B. Now, one player for OC Esports, Zin, needs to win it here, and the veil has been put up in front of their face. They need to step inside the jungle this Viper's doing. They have no utility to make that happen. There's no flashbangs, no dogs. Joba on the edge of their own pit is drawing OC Esports further into it. Texas A&M Maroon, one more round.
I'm sorry, that's like you jumping into like a hay bale with a needle in it and landing on the needle.
Yeah, exactly.
Like out of all of the points you could have entered into that pit, it's a right in the blind spot of where you could capitalize on the Joba frag. Like, whew. Again, TAMU just ever so slightly ahead here. Feeling like they're banking on luck at this point, because again, both have been just so clean in the calling. Like, even the opening frags, like, I thought Mini was going to be good on the Joba, and that would have been GG for the first round of OT. That's not the case, but look at this. A really stark change. The sky over towards A instead of the B long locality. And now, it's all on Bing Chilling.
But it looks like Bing Chilling's going to be okay here. Scaling back and regrouping with Joba. They play together inside of Tube. Hookah kind of being kept an eye on here. First, the screen is going to go up. Jermsy is in a really bad position, right? You can't go into too many places because the snakebite is at your feet. 2 more to go for Texas A&M Maroon. But Jermsy is still alive, and they still have fight yet left to give. Being Chilling traded out Vader by themselves alone to see OC Esports victory. But instead, all that is encroaching upon them is a blinding win from Texas A&M Maroon. 14-12, 2-1 in this gigabanger of a series, Obi.
Heavy is the crown, but TAMU Maroon hold on to it here. I had to. 1 to 2. It's gonna be OC Sports Eagles to fall. And I was going back saying, like, this is our last match of the regular season, and I think it's genuinely been one of my favorite matches we covered. Like maybe the Cumberland Phoenix deadlock Vice over on Abyss against Northwood has a little vibe for me, but this was just an unorthodox comp on Ascend. Just the proximity here and how close it was over on a bind. I mean, look at the stats. It required players like Joba, players like Jermsy to pull out everything they could. 5 first bloods for a Viper. 5 first bloods for a Viper and 30 kills. They dropped a 30 bomb. Zobi. Yeah. With a 323 ACS, this is Joba. Okay, that's all we need to say. This is Joba. But give it up to Jermsy as well. 8 first bloods, right? So many rounds that should have been lost for OC Esports. I mean, there was one that should have been written in stone. But Jermsy crumbled the stone in front of them with a phenomenal play and phenomenal just raw mechanical skill. This OC Esports, even though they've lost, really put out an impressive showing against a team like TAMU. And I think, and I'm gonna fact check it, producer in my ear, both of these teams qualify for playoffs regardless of, I lied. Is it top 4? Oklahoma Christian was playing for fun. They were not gonna be able to qualify, win or low. Wait, what? Would they? Because of map differential, they would not have been able to qualify, even if they would have been met head to head against TAMU. And so they were just playing for honor, right? Like
Yeah.
they weren't playing for keeps, they weren't playing for playoffs. And that just makes it even more impressive, right? Because it feels like when you're playing for advancement, you're right, you're like the adrenaline's building, you have everything going like for you or against you if you lose. And that just wasn't a factor here. Maybe that's why they played so well. They were just like, screw it. But
Yeah.
they don't demote.
Yeah.
There we go. That doesn't say it saves them from Div 2 demotion.
Well, regardless, OC Esports gave us a good showing and capabilities of what this program is going to lend themselves forward going into the future. But still, a massive congratulations to TAMU Maroon for barely skirting by on that win. But hey, a win is a win nevertheless. But that is going to be it for us tonight. But don't forget to hit the follow button because we still have more exciting NECC action coming up throughout the week, including League of Legends tomorrow, Rainbow Six on Wednesday, Rocket League on Thursday, Overwatch 2 on Friday. And this is the last week of the regular season, right? We've been talking about it for Valorant, but it's all throughout our roster of games. So we're stepping into playoffs going into next week. Zobi, I also want to give a big thank you to Wenzel's Farm for the delicious products that they offer to all of us. And of course to G Fuel, where you can do NECC 20 for 20% off of all G Fuel products. And again, a big thank you to our producer and our observer in the background. They listen, it's been a long night tonight, and we can't thank them enough for the hard work that they do. But until the next stream, everyone, we'll see you then.